It's the only time it happened to me.
Let's say the same.
I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I want to make sure everybody's mics are turned on and we can stand for the pledge, followed by a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, go have the roll call.
Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Commissioner Walter.
Here.
Commissioner Bunnick.
Present.
Commissioner Wessel.
Here.
Commissioner Campbell.
Here and present.
Commissioner Alguier.
Here.
Chairman Yoder.
Here.
All present.
And here.
All right, next up, we got approval of the agenda. Then we have one late addition here. I'm wondering if we can add that on to 8F, I guess. That's good, everybody. Or the managed fleet vehicle leasing.
What is the addition?
You got the fleet, yeah, fleet one, added on to 8F. Any other additions or deletions? If not, I'll take a motion.
Set the agenda. Second.
All right, it's been moved and supported, discussion. If not, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up, we have communications. The only one we got today is from our administrator.
Just a couple items to mention. We met last week with the 86th District Court Joint District Judicial Commission.
She said, I would be here.
And the main point of discussion was House Bill 4749, which is the bill that would separate Andrews County from the existing district structure. The last action taken in mid-November by the legislature was to refer it to the full House. It was reported out of the committee, the Judiciary Committee, favorably, so it would be expected to pass sometime probably before the end of the current legislative session. We don't have any further updates on that, other than apparently there's a question of whether or not this would be also joined with a request for Grand Traverse County to add a probate court judge. But as the bill currently is in place, that does not include that provision. So more to follow on that. One other item, the Brownfield Development Authority did have a request from the Conservancy on the Sugarloaf project to do some work for them through the Brownfield Authority regarding the former maintenance shed. So that'll be, again, more information coming on that. We were also informed by the Cherryland Humane Society that they will no longer, towards the end of this coming year, I think our contract expires in October, as I recall. At the expiration of that contract, they'll no longer board or adopt animals for the county, and the Sheriff's Department will work on having that resolved. And lastly, we're continuing to work on our health insurance renewal. The projection from Blue Cross and Blue Shield is that we'll still exceed our $2.6 million budget, even if we move to a $50,000 stop loss. Traditionally, the Blue Cross estimates have been quite high, by as much as 10 to 15%. I'm not particularly worried about that yet, but it does make it much more likely that we'll need to implement a drug card a three-tier drug card that restricts certain medications, as we previously discussed. That's my update, Mr. Chair.
Questions for administrator? All right. Next,
I guess I have a question. So if we did do the three-tier drug card, could we do that mid-year? I mean, when would we do it?
We have to do it at renewal, as I understand.
Which is
Certainly
February, right?
February, yes. I can inquire if that could be implemented at a later time, but my understanding is would certainly be more advantageous for us if we were implemented right at
On the healthcare, it seems like one of the problems that we face on that is sort of like with the health department, they're on a different budget than what we're on. So I just don't want everything to be so late next year. And I don't know what that entails, if we could, have a mid-year report, which seems essential. And if we did that, we'd have a better feel for where we're at as far as the three-tier drug card. Eventually, long range, it does seem like it would make sense to have a contract that went either longer or shorter, probably a 2-year contract that maybe went an extra 4 or 5 months to line that up with our budget. Anyways, I bring that up, just you're the guy talking, and I think it would be beneficial to us.
there actually is, I know that it might create some stress, but it actually is somewhat advantageous for us to have the renewal come after the budget. The problem, I think, this year was we had no clear idea that we were going to have a $600,000 difference in the cost of the stop loss insurance portion, or the stop loss payment portion of our premium. Had that been anticipated, we probably would have been looking for other alternatives much sooner.
What would be the advantages of having it come due when it does?
Well, like most of our insurances, they do come at different times rather than our fiscal year. But the advantage to some extent is that we know what we have a better idea of what we're going to need to spend. Even though we do the renewal in February, Blue Cross Blue Shield looks at 2 components for the stop loss portion. They look at a 12-month period that ends before our way before our fiscal year ends. It ends in May. They look at a period that includes last year plus up through May of this year. But then when they look at our actual claims experience, they look at a 21-month period. So we should have been looking at that much more closely with the consultant, for example, and been in a better position to predict that outcome, because the claims are what the claims are. They're historical and they're easy to track, and we should have been doing that much closer.
Thank you.
any other questions? All right, not, we'll move on to our first public comments. You have 3 minutes to address the board, anything agenda specific. Wish to offer public comment? All right, move on to commissioner comments.
A couple things real quick. Friday, we waged the Habitat project. They dedicated 2 more houses. It was kind of cool watching the young families there, especially the young kids. First time ever being able to live in their own house and take the scissors and cut the ribbon. And they have 2 more to go. They'll be done in March, and then they'll be out of that project. On another note, I just learned yesterday that one of the participants at our meetings here, Sam, Dana, got Senator, her husband passed away, so, pass thoughts on to her family.
Commissioner comments?
We passed a motion in September. I can read it to you, but it essentially said that the Family Coordinating Center was to provide us a narrative explaining their expenses and their budget. And and compare it, and we never received that. We did receive a printout of all their expenses, which I did get from Lauren, I think. And I'd CC you on that also, Jim. But if you look at through what we received through October 14th, including the previous year. So what is that? That's 10, well, 22 out of 24 months. They had spent $50,000 out of the $128,000 that we had budgeted. We signed that contract, or you signed that contract in July, but in July of 2024, but they backdated some of their expense. I'm not complaining about that. I assume that's all fine. But anyways, they backdated some of their expenses back to that March. So they took it, I assume that means we take it as a 1 year. Well, usually they come and ask for money on December 30th, or we send a check at the very end. And I would like to hold up that check till we make sure. And everyone, I don't feel comfortable with what honestly, truth, I didn't feel comfortable with what I saw on the expenses as compared to the budget. And obviously there's a big difference there. So I would just request, I guess, of the administrator not to issue that check until we actually look at last year and this year and make sure that the budget is being followed, or if there's not that much of a need. And I don't know at what point you ask for the money back during a fiscal year. They spent $20,000 in the first fiscal year. Their budget did 64. Does that mean what happened? Where did that money go? I have concerns about it. I'm not trying to point fingers, but I'm saying we need information. It's good to have compassion. We have to have compassion, but you need accountability too. Other?
It's fine to talk to someone about their expenses. But I don't believe in holding up someone's check. You want to discuss that at length or explore it? I think that's a good idea.
Well,
She's
this
the
is-
one who, I don't know if you're sure what they do.
pretty sure. I mean, I have a printout of what they sent us. It's pretty obvious what they're doing. I'm not.
She's the one who gets all of our projects. Okay. So they bring money into the county for our children and
That's my belief anyway. So one member of this.
Mr. Bonnie?
Yeah, I would just say that if they have $44,000 that's unaccounted for, we shouldn't be giving them another 64,000.
Well, I think we need a conversation.
Yeah.
Is all before we issue another check at the end of the year, which we did last year. And if we can accomplish that would be fine. And if we needed to change the budget that we approved in the contract, that's fine, but it is a contract.
What I could do is before your meeting next Tuesday, at least provide an update, a report as to what the status is, and if there is as it mentioned, an unaccounted for portion of the budget, we can certainly provide that information in the next week.
That'd be great.
And that'll be before any check will be issued regardless. That's all. I don't think you need a formal motion to hold the check yet. You may want to take that action at your next meeting if there is indeed a problem that you want to address, but I don't think you need that.
Okay.
That motion now.
And I'll give you the research I did. I have a copy, but
That'd be wonderful.
Mr. Money?
Yeah, just one more. I guess I haven't seen it and maybe you sent it to me, but you know, I was asked about what happened at the LEC building where we hired a different plumber and that, I mean,
I actually meant to mention that during my update. That was, first of all, contract with D&W for Gary's services. He's not a licensed plumber. He does not do plumbing services, and that, I think it was Thorn Plumbing, if I remember correctly. They actually installed the original, this was part of the connection to the humidification system that you approved through the Culligan to perform. This was actually connecting up that system. And that Thorn Plumbing had done it originally when the system was installed. It should have been included as part of the project that for Culligan approval, that you approved for the Culligan installation of that system. Connection of it should have been included. That I don't remember what the total amount of the bill was, but that should have been included. You should have been requested to approve that directly. But we did it. It was largely because that plumber is the one that actually installed it when the system was first installed and had the most familiarity with it. And we could have used D&W, but would not have been included in the contract.
okay.
Thank you.
Any comments?
Opioid webinar, Thursday, 2:30 to 3:30, Matt. I knew I was pushing myself on that one, I gotta say.
All right. With that, we'll move on to our first action item. You got the 86th District Court, we got plans here. Yeah. Got here a little earlier.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you all for having us. I have with me our new magistrate for Leelanau County, Madison Doucette. Madison comes to the 86th District Court as being raised in Leelanau County. She now currently resides in Antrim County, and she did spend some time doing seasonal marine patrol with Leelanau County several years ago, and then moved on to be a deputy with Antrim County as a road patrol deputy, and has since joined the 86th District Court magistrate team. So we come to you this morning to request your approval for the judge's request for appointment for non-attorney magistrate of Madison Doucette to the 86th District Court.
Russell?
I move to recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the appointment of Madison Doucette as non-attorney magistrate for the 86th District Court.
second.
Moved and supported, discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Madison.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Item number 2, we got Sheriff's Office, employed recruits, item 8. Okay, what should we, were they expected to be here?
That's definitely what I expected.
Well, we'll move on to.
Yeah.
Move on to HR, I guess, nobody.
Oh, they're right here.
Oh, they're looking in, all
Yep.
right.
You get caught in a snowbank
There's plenty of it up.
on the way.
Head on up here, we're waiting for you. Up. Waiting for you, Sheriff.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't know if you heard me or not.
My apologies. Caught me off
We're
guard on
moving
that
quick
one.
this morning, so.
Yeah. We got a lot of stuff going on.
First, we got the employed recruits, so address that.
So the employed recruits. So we're looking at putting an employed recruit in to the January Academy, which will start the end of January. We have a candidate selected and we have another one selected for the August Academy. We've done this before. It worked out well. We have 2 graduating Saturday. And so we'll have 2 new deputies on the road. Of the 4 holes, 2 will be filled. So that's a good thing. This is only fair to these recruits. We've talked about it before. You know, when you go into state or federal employment like I did, they pay for your academy, they pay you while you're in there. In general, police officers, general police officers and deputies have to pay out of their pocket and they don't have a wage during time. So it's a good thing. So ask for your approval to push these 2 through, one for January and one for August. Come on up, Under Sheriff.
Russell?
I move to recommend the county board of commissioners allow the sheriff's office to hire up to 2 employed recruits and also to allow the sheriff's office to enter the public safety assistant program grant process for the Mission on Law Enforcement Standards at Northwestern Michigan College for the Police Academy that runs in January and August of 2026.
Supported, discussion? Mike?
When I was reading through the timeline, it says, I was wondering, you know, if a candidate leaves, you know, at any time for a job other than law enforcement, what happens then?
If they go to another law enforcement agency, let's say we sponsor them through the academy, which
Yeah.
is some cost to Leelanau, even though M. Coles pays a lot of it, it's still some cost to us. They have to pay us back depending on how long, you know, they went through the academy, where they're going. But if they leave and decide to go to work for waste management or a computer job, we get nothing back on that. But we're just not getting candidates without this, so.
Would we have to pay back the grant?
No, we don't have to
No,
pay
not
back the
the
grant,
grant
but there's
itself.
no reimbursement. That's the way they wrote the statutes.
You know,
So, I mean, but at least the 20,000, if we get the grant, of course, that's the other thing, but. And that's what I'm wondering. Are you pretty sure we'll get the grant?
So
pretty sure we'll get the grant because we're early this year. Unlike the last couple of years, we've been kind of a little behind the curve on it. It just got announced and I'm very comfortable we have it. I'm very comfortable we have 2 candidates that really want to be deputies too. It's hard to get people who are dedicated and, you know, who really, both of them told us during the interviews, I wanted this since I was a kid, but they couldn't, you know, afford it or get into it or whatever. So I'm comfortable with it.
And if we don't get the grant, though, then are we responsible for it, the county?
If we don't get the grant, they're not going to the academy, right?
correct,
I mean, that's
I mean, that's-
based on the grant.
right.
Okay.
We will go back to the drawing board and figure out another option. The January grant is almost a guarantee. And my plan is by April, I will be well ahead of the August money. And because when they offer grants up until the money's gone. And they're pretty decent about letting us know where they at, where the fund balance sits. So as long as you're ahead of the curve, then you're fine.
Thanks, yeah.
And that's why we're projecting this out for next year now, rather than waiting just before the academy starts. So appreciate the support.
It's great that you're ahead of this.
Try.
Try it.
We're also trying to get a couple individuals to backfill the other spots. We know we have an impending retirement coming up, and we still have another spot. There's 2 police officers working for other agencies who want to come here. And we don't have any academy costs then. They're already certified, they're already trained by other agencies. And if we assimilate them, we'll be full, which will be good.
Discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Got the Grand Traverse County inmate boarding agreement.
Good morning. So again, for 2026, Grand Traverse County and the Sheriff's Office there want to do a boarding agreement with us. House up to 20 inmates for $35 a day. Same thing we currently have for 2025. The only difference really is the cap in inmates. We were only taking up to 15 this year and we have upped that to 20. They've never really even got close to that cap They've, the past few months have been anywhere from 8 to 12, so, but they have the space if they need it.
I'm at a board meeting.
Motion, Commissioner Algar,
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the inmate boarding agreement with Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Office, and authorize the board chairperson and sheriff to sign the agreement.
support, supported by Commissioner Wessel, discussion?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is the cost for an inmate? I mean, I know we have meals, we have the medical, I don't know what else. Do we
A
have?
per day cost,
Yeah,
because we're charging 35, Lieutenant.
I figured that out a while ago, and it's right around anywhere from 30 to 32 if you break everything down.
We're giving Grand Traverse County a bit of a break on price because they do so much with us,
so it really isn't a money-making thing.
not with
It's just
them.
gonna cost us that much per person. You know, and then, and I just wondered, does that all include like the square footage, you know, a lot of allocation that we have for?
I don't know anything about how that cost allocation works as far as, I just know based on the operation of the jail itself, that's about what it costs. So are we making money? I wouldn't call it revenue, but the money goes into the 211 fund. Money comes out of that 211 fund, I think, once or twice a year to the general fund. So it does help offset the cost of running the jail. Because I mean, the lights are on, the water's running. If we don't have those borders there, it's not like we're saving money per se. There's a little bit more cost for food service. Really, that's it. Because we're serving more meals.
But there's also wear and tear on the jail. that
There's, but it's very
wouldn't have
minimal.
on-
They sleep in a bed, they take a shower. I mean, it's pretty Spartan in there.
Yeah.
Lieutenant, we talked this morning about the amount of revenue we brought in boarding contracts since '05.
Numbers I have solid through 2013 are about 700,000. We started boarding inmates for Grand Traverse when we moved in '05. I don't have the numbers from 5 to 13.
But the jail's still running, employees are still there, so that's 700,000. It's been good for us. It's not real good for Grand Traverse, honestly, and they need a new jail and a bigger facility, but they don't have it now. So we're not only doing them a favor by housing their inmates, but we also have income coming in. You know, Sheriff Bensley said to me, "You guys are killing us." I said, "We're giving you a deal on it. I mean, you gotta board them somewhere. You might as well board it here closer." But that's 700,000 that wouldn't have been in our county coffers were we not doing it. And again, our employees are there and the rooms are there. You might as well, you know, keep them filled in reasonable numbers, which I think they are. We have had as many as maybe 55 or 58 in this jail since I've been sheriff for 13 years. Most of the time we're running 20 or less, and about half of those are boarders. So there's at least income coming from Grand Traverse County and from the tribe. For a while, it's from Kalkaska.
Do we charge our own inmates from our county?
Yes, they get charged $15 a day. Plus any medical costs.
And you think if we ask for more, then that you probably wouldn't send them?
Well, for instance, like when we have training, when we're at the range all day, we need people, they just send people up here. When we have jail operations training or EVO, emergency vehicles operation, we have to go to Camp Grayling. We just call Grand Traverse and they send a crew up here. They know how to work the consoles and equipment. They know how to take care of people. We have a great commensurate relationship with them where we take care of each other. They have people they'll arrest who are employees or Grand Traverse, you know, kind of people with names down there. They'll ask us to board them here just because the embarrassment factor and vice versa here. You know, the two suspects they have in their jail right now are our juveniles from this county in the homicide and the parking ramp. We had taken them like 5 times or more to juvenile facilities and homes and during their probationary, I should say that during their youth period up until 17. As soon as the one turned 17, he's involved in a homicide down there. So we have a very close relationship with Grand Traverse. I don't know what'll happen when they build their new jail because I know that's on their short agenda. You know, they want to do it, but in the meantime, we're getting income there and we're already in operation. So we think it's a good, solid agreement.
If we send someone down there, what do they charge us?
We never have.
Yeah.
We've never had an occasion. Typically what we'll do is we would just trade. You know, they send us one, we send them one, and we just call it a wash.
So it's, under what, 73, 75 beds we're leasing out about. 30? Because when we lease out 10 to the. tribe.
27,
What's that?
27, 7 to the tribe, 20 to Grand Traverse.
Seven
Yep,
now?
yep.
Okay. Another thing to clarify, another commissioner mentioned, when these inmates come in from other agencies, we're not responsible for medical, am I correct?
No, part of the $35 a day covers routine medical care, 14-day assessment, seeing our nurse.
Yeah.
They pay anything on top of that, medications. If they had to go somewhere, typically if our nurse says, hey, they need to go to another facility, Grand Traverse comes, picks them up, takes them, and then they're back in their custody.
So if one had a seizure or something very serious, they cover that.
Yes, yeah.
We had one, we were boarding for Grand Traverse, I believe his medical costs were $18,000 a month. And I mean, we're the fiduciary, right? If they need medicine, they're in jail, it's us. And Grand Traverse did pay up on that, everything, correct, Lieutenant?
We
So-
pay it up front, then they reimburse them.
And they reimburse us, but
monthly bill, I
18,000 a
send
month costs the taxpayer for that individual is in jail, so. It's a tough
This
situation.
35, we've been charging that, or it's been pretty common throughout the state, like most jails. It's been going on for years. Has anybody ever cost of inflation, say, hey, 50?
Most places I see, no, it's anywhere from 30 to 35. I think once you start getting too high, you're gonna price yourself out of the game, so to speak. Because if they don't want to pay 30, 40 to us, they'll keep sending them to Claire for 35.
And then we'll have 10 inmates in the jail with the same amount of infrastructure because MDOC and rules, federal and state and local rules, we still have to man the jail whether someone's there or not. So we look at this as positive flow income coming in, at least until Grand Traverse builds
I
its
guess
jail.
what I was looking at it, I'm no being comer, but, you know, we're 20 miles away, same court, same judges. Why would you want to pay 2 deputies overtime to drive 90 miles one way to Claire? And you bring them up here for $50.
Well,
Yeah,
we've
money-wise.
asked that question because they still have a lot of inmates in Claire. And we've made some other above and beyond offers, you know, send us, we'll release your inmates from here, send us all, you don't have to come pick them up, take them back to your jail, send their stuff. If you have unsentenced inmates and they have court, let us know, we can put them in front of the Zoom computer and do court, you guys don't have to pick them up. Sometimes they take us up, sometimes they don't.
When we were housing for Kalkaska, there was problems with the inmates behavior wise, big time. And so it's a little bit of different culture and a lawsuit we are now facing involves a Kalkaska inmate, another inmate fighting. They're fighting on their own over their own business, but we're the ones being sued. So each time you board out, you open up that liability disc, why are we paying for your medicine or why are we paying for your fights? To me, if you're in a fight, that's your business. But when we're housing people, they become our fiduciary. And so now we're the ones being sued because one inmate fought with another inmate because he's mouthing off and all of a sudden we're in one being sued. So it's a weird deal. I think it's good the way it is now. We think this contract's important to renew. So.
Any other discussion? All right, not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we're up to item number 3, right, which is Sheriff's Office Policy Tracking Software.
Under sheriff will handle that one.
I think it's kind of a misnomer that it's the sheriff's office product. I've been with the past several county administrators and HR directors. I've looked at this for several years because we have a gap in policies. And I don't care if it's county policies, sheriff's office policies, dispatch policies, whatever. We change policies and getting it out to the employees to acknowledge receipt and acknowledge that they've seen it, they've read it, and they understand it. Doesn't happen here, period. You guys see a policy review, it changes. Short of the employees going to the website on their own, there really is no update procedure. So for probably 4 years, I've looked at this program. And yes, it is used by a lot of sheriff's offices and law enforcement entities. That's because we have a lot of policies. Sheriff's office alone has 200 plus. The county board has 40 or 50. Dispatch has another 100 on their own. And basically this is an electronic version. If the administrator wants to change a county policy, He can put together the team who's going to review it. It's all digitally done. When he says yes, he hits publish. It goes out to all the employees digitally. They then have to acknowledge receipt and understanding of it. It's tracked, it's kept, and there are zero liability issues down the road should there be any problems, because we have proof and we have tracking that these policies have been read, distributed, and understood by every employee. It can be broken down by permissions so the sheriff's office employees would see and acknowledge and receipt the county ones, and then under a separate part, they would see the sheriff's office ones. They wouldn't have dispatch, so it can be broken down by department. And it's a really good program. When I started here almost 28 years ago, we would actually hand out a manual that is now roughly 5 inches thick, and technically they would sign off on a sheet and you would keep the paperwork. And it's just not feasible now because it's 2 reams of paper to even get them a paper copy. So there is no way to do this. This program does it automatically. Like I said, through digital communications and IT. And as much as it says sheriff's office on the EDS, it is a county-wide program for that price. I have just been the push behind it through the past 3 HR directors and administrators to try to get this program through. And now that we've settled in, Ms. Kane has been involved, thinks it's a good thing, and actually wrote the EDS, but it's kind of a misnomer. It is a county-wide program, not just the sheriff's office. We just happen to be the biggest entity that would use it.
Motion? Down there.
I move to recommend that the County Board of Commissioners waive the bid policy and purchase Power DMS software as presented. Funds not to exceed $31,000 over 3 years to come from IT Department line item 636 000000810. Authorize HR to apply for the MMRMA grant and the board chairman to sign and close.
All right, moved and supported, discussion?
So is everyone going to implement this?
That would be the plan. Yes.
Sounds like a good idea.
I would concur with the undersheriff's description. It's to the extent it's identified as the sheriff's office policy tracking software. They have been the ones that have definitely shepherded this to you. But as you know, as he noted, Jen Kane wrote the EDS. I signed it after reviewing the documents and also concurred that it's a good program. Something that is really necessary for the sheriff's office, because not only does it disseminate the policies, it keeps track of changes to the policy. So what happens when you do face a lawsuit, like the lawsuit the sheriff is referring to, oftentimes the incident that became the result of the claim may have happened 2, 3, 4, even more years ago, depending on the circumstances. And sometimes you have to recreate what the policy was at the time. And if you don't know, you look very silly in front of the U.S. District Judge that handles those cases. I know by experience, and it's an uncomfortable feeling. So it's a good program, definitely for the Sheriff's Department to have from a liability perspective.
Any other discussion? Money?
Yeah, I mean, we just finished our budget, and policy tracking was never discussed at all, as far as I know, that we never even talked about it. So I was just wondering how this was placed on the agenda, and what the policy tracking documents are, that the LEC is using now.
Paper and Microsoft Word, like the changes the administrator mentioned. I have 4 manuals, 6 inches thick, with every policy and every change back to 2013 on paper. Every time there is a change to a policy, I make the change. I make 4 different copies, depending on the circumstances, 2 to go to the jail, 2 go to the road. We have to track down the paper binders that hold all this stuff because it's not digital. Another beauty of this system is it's web-based. So any point, any place in the county, as long as they have a phone, they can access a policy and have it in hand. They don't have to call and ask questions. They don't have to call their sergeant. They don't have to call me or the lieutenant. They can look it up and have an answer immediately on their device. So right now, we're just paper. Everything is paper. If you look at a county policy, say it's the travel policy, and you may see in the narrative that it's been changed 7 times over the last 10 years. I would challenge anyone in this building to find those 7 revisions, because for a liability purpose, you need to have them. Not just the dates they were changed. What was the old version? What is the new version? It's liability and policy 101, a class that the preceding sheriff sent me to 20 years ago, and I've been writing the policy for the sheriff's office ever since.
So what do other departments here use?
Everybody
Same
is
thing?
primarily digital. If not this program, then one of a similar nature.
So is that on Excel or what's it on?
Other agencies, I couldn't tell you. Ours are all on Word. I mean, we have over 1,000 pages in our 200, probably closer to 1,200 pages for all of our policies. Dispatch, like I said, I know they have upwards of 100 policies, which is probably also close to 1,000 pages. And just keeping the paper alone, just the paper alone, if you go to print a manual, I don't know what a couple reams of paper are, but it's also 5 hours of time to print off all of those individual policies. When you open one at a time, hit print, wait for it, 3-hole punch it, put it in the binder, 199 more to go.
Most departments use a standalone policy like this if they have an electronic policy tracking software. It's something like this. There's a number of companies that do it. This one is offering us a discount the first year.
And this, I don't have it with me. I know I've heard it, and I know Jen Kane has seen it. They have approximately 6 to 10 other counties in the state that are countywide, not just law enforcement. But for law enforcement purposes, the state uses it for the state police, Genesee County. I know there's some others, but I don't have those right off the top of my head.
The thing that I like the most about it is it also tracks the policy development, not just the fact that it's been disseminated and read by all the employees that it is applicable to. It helps with the development of the policy as well, keeping track of changes as that policy gets developed. Not all of these software programs that I'm familiar with do that.
But I mean, we've been using this, and he said he's been looking at it for 3 to 4 years, so I don't see where we should waive our RFPs. You know, I mean, I do think we should go through that at least.
And I don't disagree, and I've been going through it for 3 or 4 years, because every time I get the new HR director on board, they're gone. That's been part of the problem. I mean, I have set up and or sat through probably a half dozen of these demos, because every time there's a new stakeholder in HR or there's a new stakeholder in the administrator's office, and I have to start from ground zero. That's why it's taken so long.
Well, and I don't see our DTR fund as either our contingency fund or our cash drawer, so I do think that we have to figure out to put it into our budget, so we're either gonna use contingency or find a place to fund it. Because that, I mean, I see the DTR as for capital improvements, not, you know, everyday stuff. I hear that it's not going to be, when you cost allocated or not allocated, but write it down over time as a capital improvement.
Commissioner Walter?
Yes, you reference, or I agree you don't, but in the motion references grant opportunities. Do we have any idea what that grant is?
It's a grant that will pay up to $2,500 for the initial first year of the policy.
Okay.
Mr. Wessel?
I don't believe that software can be classified as a capital expense. But I think in the IT budget, we did approve, there's some flexibility to pay for this, right?
Yes.
Any other discussion?
Sorry. Did you want to ask the finance director that question?
In the IT budget, the contractual line item, and this is 801, not 810, is the EDS is written up. Her contracts that she currently has, they're specified, and we've accounted for all of them. So in contractual, there's not room in contractual. It would be an amendment to her budget, which then amends everybody else's if you increase it, because it is a cost allocation of her department to everyone. If it's used by everyone, if it's, as Mr. or Administrator mentioned, it's going to be used for your policies that the board approves and the sheriffs. I mean, that's one thing. If it's just the sheriffs, then it would be allocated to the sheriff's department. Does that help?
That's everyone's question.
So we do need a budget amendment. Can we have that by, well,
Well, we're not in 26 yet. So, I mean, if we're going to start amending 26's budget, we'll start accumulating what you want to do and start on January 1st.
you would prefer to amend 26 budget is my guess.
Is this something you're looking at to start right now?
I think, I mean, if we start in January, I think
It's,
we're so close to January.
if I recall, it's at least a 60-day implementation period. And from my knowledge, I mean, every employee here would be a user with certain base permissions to access, review, and acknowledge policies directly related to their department and or their position. And everybody would have access to your policies, of course.
So would you rather deal with the budget amendment in 26 or 25?
I mean, you can make decisions about 26. You can do that anytime. For me to actually give you a budget amendment, I'll do that in January.
So we can approve this now, do the budget amendment in January. My only other question is, you talked about having to print out everything and changes. So, but do you have things in digital form? You're not gonna have to sit down and read.
So one beauty of this program is as long as we have the policy in some sort of digital form, whether that's Word, PDF, or whatever, they can be imported into this new system and it'll automatically turn it into that version. So we don't have to recreate the wheel by going to this. We just have to provide them what we already have, and it digitizes everything in one individual platform.
Yes, and this is something that it forces you, if you were to say it like that, it forces you to review your policies also.
Well, that is another, we have a core dozen that we attempt to review on an annual basis, pursuits, domestics, that kind of thing.
The boys have
And I realize it's $31,000 over 3 years, but one missed policy from a revision 7 years ago could be easily 300,000 more in a lawsuit.
Hi, are you calling me?
I like the idea. I had, most of my questions all dealt with how are we going to use this on a county level? Because we need it in this building.
Hence why Jen had wanted me here to speak to this, because as much as I was the push behind it, I've always seen it as a county-wide problem or hole in the county's liability protection.
Mr. Robbins?
Yeah, they just kind of touched on it, but, okay, if I get this right, in the past, we produce a policy, initiate to employees. We never,
That's the step that doesn't happen.
no, let me finish. I mean, we don't know if the employee even reads it.
Correct. And we have zero acknowledgement that they ever saw it or read it.
Right, and so with this program, we're gonna know if that employee, I mean, that employee's gonna be, or deputy's gonna be required to.
Provided digital acknowledgement.
They understand it, they're gonna say, hey, they at least read it.
Yep.
So that will take the liability, should take some liability off of us.
Correct.
Not totally, but, because I agree with you, it's, we're spending 31,000. That could be a $500,000 lawsuit, and you go back and say, hey, employee, they had the information.
Well, we can say they had the information, but we have no proof that they actually did.
Right. So, but I think it should be countywide.
Can we require unionized employees to sign?
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Policy, it's a condition,
Condition of their employment.
correct.
Main question I had, I mean, the question was brought up about the line item. Is that the correct line item then before we go on, or does that need to be amended, I guess?
I already changed it.
Change, oh, okay.
I knew it was wrong
Oh,
in
okay.
the EDS.
Mr. Bunny, and then I'm gonna call vote.
Yeah, I just don't think that we need to rush into this. It's 31,000. We should follow our policy and go out for an RFP. I mean, this might be the one we want to use, but we might be able to get one that's half that price. That's just as well or better. We just don't know. I'm not saying he didn't do a good job vetting it, but I do think there are other options out there, I'm sure, and we should really look into them. I don't know why if this has been going on for this long, why all of a sudden we have to do it immediately. We have policies, we really should try to follow.
All right. No discussion, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 5-2. All right, next up, we got a review, which is a new job description, Sheriff's Office Manager.
So this would be Joanna Novak would be our office manager. She has an employee, she supervises a part-time employee. And I think you have the information out there right now already. You've been able to look at it. So we're looking at reclassification of that position.
Right, this is just the job description. We came to you probably in the spring to look at this reclassification. We're told to come back in the budget. It was in the budget. I believe it was approved. Now it's just the crossing the i's and dotting the t's, of course, with the job approval of the job description and things of that nature.
Mr. Wessel,
I move to recommend that the county board of commissioners add a new job description to the Teamsters Union contract in grade 2 as presented.
Second.
supported, discussion? Mr. Bunny?
Yeah, I believe that this was something that, and I said this during the budget, this is something that should have come through the union. If they wanted to change this position, it should come through them, and it shouldn't be through the budget or through, sure, this should be a union issue. And somehow we're doing union issues in our budget. I don't understand that, because we had negotiations, we negotiated with them, and this was never brought up. So I am opposed to doing this again.
To that point, I can tell you that this, along with another position in the building safety department, were both given to the union to be negotiated. Only the building safety position was approved and negotiated through the contract, and this one was neglected by the union and not brought to the table, although it was requested.
Which proves my point. The union, for some reason, didn't want to do it, and they have a responsibility, and here we are overstepping what they've already decided.
Any other discussion? All right, not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Carried 6-1.
Thank you.
Next up, we got item number C, which is job description updates.
We're actually, we'd like to pull that from the agenda. We had some issues arise since the agenda was printed, and we're gonna need to rethink this a little bit, so we don't need to pursue that.
I would make the motion to pull it from the agenda.
So, would you want it on next Tuesday or just all together?
Just off completely at this point.
Moved and supported, discussion. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Sheriff, before you leave, we're gonna have a discussion later on about leasing vehicles.
Yes.
My opinion is I would like to hear your opinion. I don't know about other folks here, and I don't know if you're available later on when we have our
I
discussion.
will be for you. We're in a bit of a bind right now. We're actively searching. A bunch of us are, we're going 2 a day to Wexford County searching for a body involved in a homicide. It's a mutual aid request. So we have 2 deputies out in the blizzard as we speak. I'll be going this week as well. We are very hectic, so I have the undersheriff and the lieutenant doing road patrol here today. I'm doing office admin in this. I'll be in and out. I will be back for that. If you don't need me there, I will go out and patrol the road because we're gonna be short, but if not, I'll be here. And I had another question for you I was gonna do during public comment, just on an expenditure thing, but I don't know that it's not part of the agenda now, so I can wait till public comment later, or however you wanna do it. But that's why we're a little scatterbrained this week. They're in dire needs down there. They've been down there for a couple of weeks doing the search. We feel we know where the body is, and it's involving a lot of search. Hate to be morbid like that, but it's kind of one of the things we do, and we have a lot of other stuff going on. So it's your call if you want to discuss it now, or you want me to come back in when it gets to agenda point or whatever.
You're the chair, however you
I mean, you said you can be back here for that time or no?
Whatever you want, I'll do.
But if it's easy for you now, I don't mind to have some questions here. That way we don't tie you up here.
Well, that would be ideal. I mean, if I'm not messing around with anybody else. Matt, are you okay?
Get under sheriff as well. We've been working closely with him regarding the leasing issue.
So you want him back here?
If you could.
Yep.
So do we need a motion to move it up, or we just, can you just decide?
I can just decide, to move it up. That's what I've done in the past.
That's good. I think we should, just for convenience for the sheriff.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. It's kind of hard times right
I don't
now.
want you to have to come back again.
2 with 1, return back to the commission room. I'll answer whatever questions you need. When he comes here, you can augment it.
Well, I mean, make your comment, whatever you had, and then we'll dive into the questions right away. So go ahead with whatever comment you have.
Sure. So my feeling is this, our deputies need safe vehicles within normal, safe operational procedure and mileage. So your mileage basically is gonna be about 130,000 a year. We don't wanna drive patrol vehicles that have 200,000 and have problems with brakes or this or that. So the idea of the fleet management, I don't have a strong opinion on that, other than we need a safe vehicle to drive. We're kind of apolitical on that. If we buy them, then you have an asset. We brought that up before. If we lease them, we may get to run the mileage down a little bit on them. In other words, not have as many repairs within that 130 or whatever it is. So it's going to be a board decision. I know that the administrator and the undersheriff have been talking about. The undersheriff's in charge of our fleet management. So I can let him speak to that. But from my perspective, I just want them in a safe vehicle.
I am not leaning one way or the other either. Obviously, if you go to the fleet financially, it's an A+ plan because of the cost this year versus buying outright. Long-term, I can't tell you, and I don't have the answer. Like the sheriff said, safe cars and newer cars are obviously the good answer. I mean, most general patrol cars that we have average between 20 and 35,000 miles a year. This will be a safer fleet, a newer fleet. I have heard, and I don't think we're necessarily looking that way, bad things on the maintenance part of the package. I've spoken to Kalkaska and a couple others where if they go to their local tire shop, they used to go and spend $500 on 4 sets of tires. They still go to the local tire shop, and instead of $500, it's $580 because there's costs built in to the lease maintenance program. Either way, our fleet and our vehicle management is a chore, if you will. It's a lot of work now. The reason I had reached out recently after the budget was approved, at least to get an answer, is because I need to order vehicles. Now, whether that's through enterprise or we order them on our own, there's usually a 3 to 6 month window. Not to mention the equipment that goes inside. I also need to know that, whether we are ordering it or if we go through enterprise and they order it for us. There's still a lot of hoops locally because we go to 3 or 4 different vendors to get everything done that needs to be done to put these cars on the road, whether it's radios, emergency lights, stickers, decals, whatever. It's a matter of making a determination on which way to go. So I don't have a stake in the game either way. I just want safe, good cars for our deputies. If you go the lease and it turns out not to be good, I don't know what that looks like on the back end either. But 300,000 versus 60,000, and don't quote me on the numbers, is a big difference. And given everything you're looking at, obviously, that is a benefit on the side of leasing, but we do lose some control. So that is a downside too.
Thank you. Questions on that, or want to have a motion so we can have discussion? So, hard copy.
What are you looking for a motion for?
Well, so we can have
It would
discussion, I
be,
guess.
I would recommend that.
I'm gonna make a motion that we purchase the vehicles instead of going through the fleet. I believe, and I'll get to that if we have a second.
I'll second that, which for discussion, sure.
No.
But do we need to amend the agenda before we do that?
No, this is all part
No,
of.
this
it.
is,
Part of the agenda.
all right, so discussion by Commissioner Bunning.
Yeah, I mean, we've always purchased them, and when we go to, if you go to leasing, it's gonna be dependent on the market, whether we come out ahead or behind. If the market for vehicles stays high and we're gonna turn them over more quickly, so we could possibly come out ahead. But most likely, if the market is down, or, and because we live in a small county, the demand for, former police vehicles is much less. So the odds of us getting more than the value of them, or what we owe on them, or what is left in the lease is not as likely. And that's where the being able to sell the car for much more than we owe on it is where you're gonna get your profit. So I don't think that, I guess I'm not ready to change to leasing at this time, just because our budget, because of our insurance has been moved higher. I think that we stick with this and see if we can work out our insurance and continue to deal with it. I just think, and I believe down the road, if we go 3-4 years, that when I looked at that lease, at the end of the time, when we're down to 36 vehicles, we're gonna be paying over 400,000 a year for leasing. We've never paid that much. And, and I see us leaving the county in worse shape when, after 3 or 4 years or 5 years, however long it takes. And I don't think that I wanna be one who does that.
All right, any other discussion? Commissioner Walter?
We sell our used vehicles on a bid process open, so our community size has no effect on that. Because, we're not selling that to a guy in Santa Fe, we're selling it to a guy in Flint. So, that's really a moot point. Enterprise has a nationwide setup to, I purchase that vehicle from anywhere. So, that's really not a point. I think their marketing plan is probably better than ours. But, I'm just saying that that's not a world of argument. Leasing over buying, people lease cars because they find it cheaper. And they got a new car all the time, doesn't have the wear and tear on it, doesn't have the added expenses. That's the plus of this plan. Whether it works out that well or not, we won't know until we're 4 years down the road. But at this point, it seems like a more feasible option or a cost-effective option, in my opinion.
Commissioner Algar?
Another difference that keeps being noted that I think is important is the amount of time spent managing our own fleet. I know that Lauren spends a lot of time. Laurel used to spend a lot of time. You mentioned it takes a lot of your time. So your time is freed up. We're driving newer vehicles, we're spending less on repairs. I think that leasing is a win-win. I lease a car and I love it.
Mr. Robbins?
To add to the undersheriff, I followed up on the same agency that he did. To deal with Kilcast on the tires, he got the same information I received from the sergeant over there. They also, correct me, undersheriff, I think they found out into the game that they could switch and that they could go direct and buy their tires.
Correct. And just
It's
for,
part of a package.
correct. And for a historical perspective, like a previous topic, this is years, potentially, this started under Administrator Janik, went to Deb Allen, went through Richard Lewis, and now here. And I was always brought in, obviously, because we have the biggest fleet. And it went through iterations of not patrol cars, because they're not always the most ideal, just all the ancillary cars, maintenance trucks and things of that nature. I mean, in theory, and I haven't sat through a demo, I've sat through several, but not one recently. And from what I recall, it's more than a 4-year process, that in theory, by the numbers, and numbers are only as good as the stats backing them up, but in theory, 8 to 10 years down the road, the residuals back on these cars essentially almost pay for themselves and make it a far more feasible option. Because ideally, Enterprise's goal is we will not own a car with more than 80 or 100,000 miles on it. And we will also not own a car that's more than 5 years old, or possess. Own is not the right word, but possess. So.
The question I have, I'm for it, but, we're starting out, we're only gonna get 4 cars, eventually you got a fleet of what, about 25?
20,
No, it's closer to
30, okay.
well, it could be with everything, yeah.
The question I see is, at some point, right now it's okay, so are we gonna have to lease a couple extra patrol cars to replace when one's down?
I can tell you a couple years ago in the model, their original call was to replace 9 vehicles immediately, not just sheriff's office cars, but like senior services car and some of the inspection vehicles. Now, those have changed over the years, but their original call was 9 vehicles out, replaced with 9 new ones.
But I'm referring to you guys, the sheriff's department, or the sheriff's office, I mean, you have a fleet of cars here.
Yep.
And cars break down, you get car near accidents. What's gonna replace them? So that's my question. Do we have to lease 2 more extras to sit in the parking lot?
We have to have fleet cars.
Potentially, yes. I mean, we currently have 2 fleet cars, which just last week we had 0 cars available because we had recalls, we had a maintenance issue, and we had cars, everything was tied up.
Like I said, I'm for this, but then I start looking at your marine program. You got 2 vehicles, 2 pickup trucks that sit almost 7 months out of the year. Are we gonna be paying for 2 pickup trucks to sit there or make payments on just to have during the summer months?
I can't say that won't happen in the future. They're newer trucks, fortunately, they're lower mile trucks, but at some point,
it's.
I would assume Enterprise would say, hey, now is the time to sell to get the biggest bang for your
My
buck.
whole fleet's gonna be part of Enterprise.
Correct.
So let me just do an outside perspective, even though I'm sheriff. I think this is a big giant move and it needs more time to be discussed, thought at, viewed. I don't think it's necessary to make a decision right now. I think this is there's a big question about this. Do you own and build equity, or do you lease and drive less, mile vehicles, and what's your repair cost? It may take some external view, and we might, I just don't think it's pressing, like our 2 deputies we had to hire, you approved. That's pressing. We had to do that today. I appreciate this support very much, but I just want a safe vehicle. Right now, we have safe vehicles, and I think that it's gonna be a larger package to look at, so maybe just my suggestion is maybe let's hold off a little bit and research it more and look more.
Mr. Wessel?
Well, the other sheriff mentioned that we've been looking at it for 5 years. And every year we get almost there. and then we decided we rushed into it. I'm in support of leasing and I hope we move forward with it.
Well, and I will say,
Agree.
I mean, a new patrol car, $70,000. The time we outfit it, buy it, outfit it and put it on the road, which is fine. We get 4 to 5 years out of that car. Then usually, ideally, the ones, they go to the fleet and fleet cars then get turned into the county for use in other offices or for sale. So, I mean, I believe senior services, I mean, emergency management, they're driving cars that are 12, 13 years old. Costs on those are not cheap. Like I said, I don't have an opinion either way. The leasing is appealing in a lot of ways, but in a lot of aspects, I'm happy with the bear I deal with every year now versus the bear that's the unknown in the leasing. So I just need, I've pushed it for an answer because, I mean, we can't go into this time next year without getting some new cars on the road, period.
Mr. Rollins?
We're actually talking two different groups here, talking sheriff's office and their patrol cars. You take Matt in the back, you take senior services. We can buy, we don't need to give them an old patrol car or buy a patrol car. We're gonna be buying them a compact car.
Right, which lease costs will be far
So that
less.
could be savings there.
I'd like to note that this, not Commissioner Bunnick's motion, but the motion we were given says, authorizes the county administrator to negotiate a leasing contract for future review and approval. We have been talking about this for years. You haven't always been here. We've been talking about it for years. I sure would like to move forward on this, so I cannot approve Commissioner Bunnick's motion.
Commissioner Bunnick, and then I'm gonna.
Yeah, I just want to say that there is a reason we haven't gone with it. You know, and we know that it's very expensive, that down the road, we're gonna make it harder for the county to do it, and that's the reason why it hasn't been passed. That's why, but it keeps being brought up, because initially, it can save us money.
Excuse me, but you weren't here. That's not why we didn't.
All right, Commissioner Campbell.
Well, I feel we got back into this so quickly because of the budget process. Honestly, was it? That's why the push. And I don't feel, I think it could be a short-term advantage, and that's why it's there. And I just don't feel comfortable as far as it being a long-term advantage. And I think it's important to look at long-term over short-term. That's just my opinion.
So I'll have a few comments before I call the vote, but I understand everybody's concerns here, and I mean, anybody that knows me, I'm a guy to try new things. I don't, I'm a big status quo type of guy. So I don't have a problem with pursuing this and checking it out to see, because I think there's a lot of enticing things in here. And to Commissioner Bunnick's point regarding, you know, in 10 years, this could cost us $400,000. Well, we don't know if in 10 years our own fleet's gonna cost us $400,000 either. So we may be in the same boat in 10 years based on the price there too. So I don't think it's fair to say that, oh, this, you know, that number's astronomical, because for us, it's gonna be astronomical too, even if we continue purchasing. So to me, it's a win-loss, and I'm willing to give it a shot and see, you know, what it can provide us. And I mean, to the sheriff's and the undersheriff's point, I want to make sure they have safe vehicles, and I don't think this hinders them from having safe vehicles. So I'm willing to give it a shot at least. So that's where I stand. All right, all in favor of the original motion?
No, we would vote on motions.
Right, Commissioner Bunnick,
The
the original motion.
motion is to approve the purchase of the sheriff's vehicles and the building safety truck. That's what you are discussing.
So all in favor of that original motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, motion fails 2-5. Commissioner Allgaier?
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners authorize the county administrator to negotiate a managed fleet vehicle leasing contract for future review and approval with Enterprise Fleet based on the Sourcewell National RFP award, which is consistent with the county's purchasing policy, provided that the first year cost is no more than the 2025 budget allocation for vehicle acquisition, and the terms of the lease are financially equivalent or better when compared to the cost of a cash purchase of equivalent vehicles.
All right, moved and supported, discussion,
Who was the support?
Commissioner Wessel.
Thank you. He was sitting backwards, so I couldn't hear him.
Commissioner Campbell.
I just had Jim, do you have experience, professional experience with leasing? What did Calhoun County do, I guess?
We lease through Enterprise.
All right, any other discussion? All right, not all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-2. All right, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Now you guys can move on. So, did you have another comment?
I had one thing, not connected to this at all. You're familiar with Northern Michigan Mutual Aid? We're the 23 counties up here, 36 entities within them. For instance, this county has two, Grand Traverse, Span, and Leelanau County. Northern Michigan Mutual Aid provides dive, provides emergency search and rescue like we're involved with all this week, and SWAT, which is called Emergency Response Team. Each county does what it can. Grand Traverse County purchased a armored rescue vehicle, the Bearcat, if you will. You've heard a lot about that. They spent over $250,000 on that for ERT. It's a vehicle we use for calls. We had a call this week. And it was 5 people taken in custody on fentanyl and methamphetamine. It was a very good thing, but that is necessary and needed. Grand Traverse County also pays for the majority of the boats that are used in body recovery. It's one of the sheriff's jobs is, to house inmates and to recover bodies and drownings and so forth. Okay, we have a sheriff's donation account where people, friends of mine, have come up and said, we want to do something. We love you guys. We want to give you some money. What do you want? Sometimes we put that money in the Marine Safety Fund. Sometimes we put it in the sheriff's general fund. We had a sheriff's canine fund. When we had a canine program, we did golf outing, so forth. So we have these different funds. We're all on the same page on that, right? There is a need for ballistic goggles. We do energetic breaching, which is explosive, mechanical, hydraulic, and manual breaching. There is a need for a safety glass that can go around a helmet. A lot of these entities provide different things. Some provide what are called bread vans. The trailers are unmarked white vans with ladders and all the stuff we need to get in. Some provide Bearcats. We don't provide a whole lot for that. I have $8,500 in the sheriff's donation fund. This money is just given. It's nothing to do with our budget. It's just given to us, say, you guys need anything, come to us and so forth. I would like to spend about $2,452 to buy each of the 45 ERT members a set of these glasses. They're dark when it's bright, and they're light when it's in. You wear them. There's goggle straps that go around your helmet. When we do energetic breaching, like if we have to get into a school, a door, or a building, we use mechanical devices, hydraulic, explosive. Even a hydraulic can send parts flying and basically shrapnel in the air. We are hosting an event February 25th at Sutton Space School. In March, they're tearing down Sutton Space School. We're hosting an event with ERT and State Police ES and our first responders around the county called Rescue Task Force. We're hosting an event here, and we're going to go in and work on the school and the doors, the buildings and all that. No external stuff, but internally we can do what we want because they're going to tear the school down in March. So this is why I'm bringing this up to you. I have this account, $8,500 is discretionary funding. We've been using it right along as we need things. And people continue to donate this. Sometimes it's $500, sometimes $1,000, sometimes $10,000. I would like to take $2,500 out of the account and buy the ERT people who are coming here, these goggles, which they would stay in their gear in a hard case with this. I'd like to purchase that, but I don't really want to do it. So it looks like it's behind the scenes. Because it's ERT, we cover all of Northern Michigan, basically from like Pinconning across to Ludington north to the bridge. ERT is 23 counties with 36 entities. I would like to purchase these for the ERT operators. with your blessing or approval. And I understand the sheriff, I can just do that because general fund, but I feel like because ERT is hard for people to understand how it functions, I feel like I want to let you know about it and have your opinion on it. If you would be so kind.
Mr. Money?
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we encourage the sheriff to purchase those for her.
Support.
Supported, discussion?
Is there something that you could send me over in writing what you just said? Okay.
Rollins?
I don't know where to begin. We haven't had a member on that team for over a year.
Just me.
You're the sheriff.
Right.
We don't have a deputy.
Right, and I really need 2 deputies on the team and we don't have them now.
We've been giving you people and they're getting off probation, so somewhere in your magic ball, you should be able to tell us when to get a member on that team, or 2.
We're hoping for 2.
And I don't feel it's our responsibility as Leelanau County to take our funds to spend money for everybody that's on the team. We don't have a member. I mean, I appreciate you coming here and asking us what is 2,000, but I know a year ago, you didn't come to the board. You sent $43,000 donation to buy everybody uniforms.
That was from private individual who bought.
This money's private too.
Yes, although it's been donated to the county for the sheriff's general fund, that would be the difference. So when the individual, actually, we got them for half price because they made me a dealer, so we got them for 23. But that said, that individual said, yes, I'll buy their team their uniforms, which they did. It was
Well,
private.
My point is, Sheriff, I don't think it's our responsibility to, Grand Traverse got money, these other counties have money. It's not our responsibility as Leelanau County to support all of Northern Michigan so they have the equipment.
So my retort to that would be Grand Traverse County bought the Bearcat for the 23 counties. It's shared by everybody. We used it this week. And we'll use it here in Leelanau. We did the last one here was on M72 with the Bearcat. My thing is, this is $2,500 toward that. They spent $250,000. This is money that was given to the sheriff's fund discretionally. And, I'm not out buying people, gifts and goofy
Let's get one
things.
thing straight. Sheriff Bensley's my best friend. He bought that for Grand Traverse County. He didn't buy it for the team.
But it's
That was for
used.
Grand Traverse. Yes, it's used.
It
But
is
he bought
used.
For Grand Traverse.
Yep.
So let's keep apple to apple.
But he bought it for Grand Traverse County, but it's used for the whole team. That's what I'm saying. So.
Commissioner Campbell?
I think we're looking at it through the wrong lens. I think the lens is not what Leelanau taxpayers want to do with this money. It would be, what did the donators want done with this money? And they entrusted it to the sheriff. We had a different sheriff. We probably wouldn't be getting those types of donations. So yes, I will support you if you feel that this is the best use of those donations, and the people who are supporting through their own private money would follow suit. Yeah, I trust you.
Any other discussion? All right, not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Thank you. I'll be conservative with everything I can. Thank you very much for the support.
Thank you. All right, now we're on to emergency management. Matt here.
Good morning. Okay, so the first item is the tuition reimbursement for Julie Lautner, one of my employees. She has been completing her studies in 2 courses through the Ferris State University program under the GI Bill. Unfortunately, her funding is going to run up before she can complete the final 2 classes in those 2 programs of study. She's enrolled in the Risk Management 2 course for this upcoming semester, and then she has a small business management class in the summer semester. In the EDS, I related the course study to her current position and county employment in general. So I would like the board to take consideration for reimbursement for her time and tuition.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, we need to look at our reimbursement policy or what we've agreed with the unions. I believe the proper procedure here is first for the Board of Commissioners to approve the class, that it's appropriate for county business and reimbursement. And then if we approve it for reimbursement, the employee must pass the designated class with a B grade or better, and then request the reimbursement. And I do believe it's 100% then at that time, isn't it? Or is it 50%?
It's been 50 as far as I know, but I'm not opposed
But
to it.
I'm saying we need to make sure the class is appropriate for the county, because if it was dancing, I don't think that we would want to reimburse it, you know? And then, you know, then they need to pay for the class, take the class, pass it with a B or better, and then we reimburse. I believe that's what our policy is.
Sure, so,
Can we ask our finance director?
oh, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I was asked about this. It is in their union contract for dispatch, and I believe that it's the director and the administrator are the ones in the contract that approve if the class is appropriate. I think that's already happened. You two have had that discussion. And I believe Commissioner Bunnick is correct. If she takes the class, the employee takes the class and comes back with a grade, and I think the grade is outlined in the contract, then it is a 50% reimbursement from what I read. Does that help?
All right. Russell?
So we could amend the suggested motion with that caveat that
Passing grade of B or higher.
So I move that the County Board of Commissioners approve tuition reimbursement for the employee Julie Lautner in the amount not to exceed 50% of tuition costs for courses in risk management due to be taken in spring 2026 semester, and small business management in the summer 2026 semester, and reimbursed if satisfactory grades are obtained.
Support.
Supported. I guess you need to mention where the funds come from, or no? I don't know.
I already have it in the
Got it,
motion.
okay. Discussion? Campbell?
Does it the way this is written makes it sound like we pay up front.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the intent of the policy. So would you entertain a change that would require taking the class, passing it with the grades before the county reimburses?
So I wrote it when he stated it, I put reimbursement if satisfactory grade is attained per union contract. Because the contract dictates if she is going to be reimbursed.
That was in the motion.
I added the union contract part if that satisfies. So by contract, she takes the class, it's approved by the administrator and emergency manager. Once she passes, she turns in the grades to the emergency manager, and the administrator signs off on the reimbursement that goes through accounting.
So this will accomplish that?
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got tower storage.
All right, so with the Leelanau Township Tower that we purchased through Midway Electronics, it is set to be delivered in the near future, and we secured a storage site for it. The Road Commission has been gracious enough to allow us to take some space in one of their parcels of property. And they have a land lease agreement that they want to enter into with the county. They have it going before their board this month as well. There is no financial responsibility involved in this. It's just stating that we're gonna have the tower material at the location. And we have to coordinate with them in order to go in, retrieve it or whatnot. So it will be secured and at their location. Exactly what we need for the tower storage.
Okay,
I move that the County Board of Commissioners approve the chairperson to sign the land lease agreement with the County Road Commission to store materials for the communication tower purchased through Midway Electronics pending approval from legal counsel.
supported, discussion? I'll let motion secretary make a comment first. Commissioner Oliver.
I am hoping we can improve our situation.
Yes, and that is the overall hope, that we don't have to let it sit there for 100 years.
Yes,
Um,
we have eyes on that.
Yes,
We get dibs first.
right.
Commissioner Bunny.
Yeah, that was my question. Have we looked into can we, someone to sell it to, so it doesn't even have to be delivered here, can you deliver?
Correct.
Whoever buys it.
That was kind of the hope. Behind the scenes, we've been working with Verizon. They're pursuing another tower location in Leelanau Township, and it was our hope that we could just deliver where they wanted it. It doesn't seem to be achievable at this point in time. I think that more discussion with the Township Planning Commission and Township Board needs to take place. It's not off the table, but I don't want to say it's a certainty.
But I mean, there must be towers coming up all over the United States, you know. If that.
When I approached Verizon about it, they had another project, I believe, in upstate New York that they were going to consider as well. So it's not being ignored, but hopefully we can make it advantageous for the county as well.
Thanks.
Is there a designated storage protocol for these? I mean, it just can't lay on the ground. So I mean, so if we research and make sure that however we store it will maintain its structural.
Yeah, right now.
That's a major concern.
Yeah, it's being stored in a yard right now at the tower manufacturer.
Yeah.
So when it's delivered, it's going to be delivered on the same base material, whether it's 4x4 railroad ties or whatever it is. So we'll have it on there just like they would at their manufacturing facility.
And don't want to have it sit there.
Grow roots.
Like that plow you got in the backyard of your tractor.
All right, Commissioner Campbell.
Is this tower fully paid for?
We have, the administrator is going to address that.
Another item on your agenda
Okay.
is item 8D to close out the contract with Midway Electronics.
How much is owed on it?
The final 25% of the contract, which I think we're gonna come in underneath that, so. The original contract was not to exceed $405,000. We paid half of that. And the motion that you're gonna see on AD asks you to allocate $90,000 from the DTR fund to pay, it's about a $70,000, 69 and change, to pay them for work that they've done but not been compensated for yet, and an estimated $20,000 to deliver. So it at the point in time that it's delivered, it'll be fully paid for through that process.
To the DTR.
Yes.
And we have two towers we need to do something with, right? Including this one over here.
Realistically, the tower at the law enforcement center that we would take down wouldn't be applicable for or reusable. It would be very difficult to, that tower is a very, I'm going to say, weak tower. We can't realistically put a whole lot of equipment on that tower. The new tower that we have built in the compound, that is a very robust tower.
But I guess where I'm going with all this is, rather than negotiating with Verizon or waiting for someone to come to us, perhaps we put out a request for proposals to sell these towers. And we don't have to accept it if someone comes. And I brought that up before, but it seems like the need is more urgent now than ever to find a home for it.
That's basically is the plan. Once we have possession of it and it's fully paid, we can't do anything until it's paid.
And this one over here could make us, I mean, you don't know, it could be maybe someone.
It
doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it would be dependent on what scrap material is going for, the going rate for it. you may be able to do an RFP to get somebody to come up here and tear it down just for the scrap value of it, but that hasn't been the case for quite a few years.
That doesn't hurt to move that along. I like that idea.
Stronger?
I would just like people to realize that there are still people in this county who need cell service. We've all driven down 22 on the west side of the county, and we lose service for a good 10 minutes. On my road right now, we had landlines, but the line was strung across the culvert and over the creek. And a road commission truck took it out, and they are not putting up, anyways, we've lost our landlines. We have one bar of cell service. The towers go out regularly. And we have beech trees falling continually, dying. I'm considering a sat phone. I mean, we still have, so bottom line, we'd love that to find a home for that tower. So guys, don't sell it too quick. There are people who need it.
All right, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up, item number 5, we got finance year-end budget amendments.
This motion comes before you, EDS every year in December to allow the finance department and the administrator to make year-end adjustments in the general fund, not to exceed what's remaining in contingency, which is $244,000. Last year, the amendments were predominantly related to court issues, circuit court, district court. I think this year you will be seeing a budget amendment that you'll approve next week, of course, for GEI pre-engineering consulting again for the 4 drains that are in process. And administrator and I will be looking at some of the areas that were not budgeted that have hit the budget, which is the one recently was to pay out the comp banks, which is a new policy for the county, and it's a union contract term in dispatch. So that was not put in the budget yet, and that was about 25,000. So we're gonna look at the impact of that as well.
Motion? Okay.
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve/authorize the finance director and administrator to make any year-end adjustments and transfers deemed necessary to avoid year-end deficits in the various department budgets within the general fund. No transfer adjustments to go beyond funds in contingency. All transfers/adjustments require the signature of the county administrator.
Moved and supported, discussion? Mike?
Yeah, I was just, and I was gonna talk about this in financials, but will this be adjustments for like emergency services, which is at 152% of its budget?
I'm thinking you're looking at a budgetary status prior to the adjustment for the ARPA.
Okay,
You're looking at October.
yes.
I think that adjustment was done in November, but that would be one that you could see next week. You will be doing your own budget amendment next week. This is if something transpires between next week's meeting into the end of the year, and we don't have to call you back for a meeting, a special. We can take care of it ourselves.
Okay, I wondered if this would preclude that meeting.
Yeah, usually the Board of Commissioners does have a year-end meeting to pay the last bills.
Right.
That are not part of your budget rules. I don't know where you're at in that discussion, and I'll let the administrator handle that with you all, so.
So this will help straighten out any of those things that go over 100%.
Correct.
It's like unemployment right now is 114%.
Yeah, otherwise you'll be written up in your audit.
Okay.
If you don't make this motion, you will get an audit finding and it will be reported to the state.
discussion? Commissioner Wessel?
Yeah, I'm not sure that this board ought to not have that December 31 meeting. I think we should, and approve any end of the year bills payable and amendments. I just think it's responsible.
There's a discussion I was gonna bring up to the administrator at the end of the meeting, so we'll talk about that. So, Commissioner Campbell?
Well, that was similar to my question on that last meeting. Mike, is this a delegation of authority that the county board used to have or did have in past years?
I understand.
Yes, and prior from the finance moving to the administration office, the county clerk always brought this to you, but she brought it to you in November. Just a little quicker. So you used to do your budget approval in October, and then this motion would be brought through in November. And then you had your December meeting. Anything that I wouldn't have tied out for you that couldn't be tied out, then in the prior year, you gave her authorization to do an amendment taken from contingency. It's generally a last minute expense. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I mean, it's not generally a lot of money. But with drains, it's hard to state with the engineering. And anything that, comes up that you do want to cover, your general fund with this motion.
Yeah, I like that idea, the year end myself.
It's typical you do both. You'll have this motion because there's those last minute things that we can't convene you quickly enough to get done, but we have always had a year end meeting. I'm just not seeing one on the schedule, so.
So it's usually like December 31st. That's what I-
Yeah, however however it all falls, yeah.
After your claims and account.
You could.
So this is helpful in the meantime, but then we'll have a meeting on the 30th.
This is for an after year adjustment. So once your books close on December 31st, then Kathy and Administrator Dyer have permission from the board to adjust budgets that went over budget after your claims and accounts was approved at the end of the year. Because you will have people turning bills in for December and January, right? And if your budget tight, it just gives them that security that they have that authority within the audit to basically do that for you.
And it's just the general fund.
If a fund goes over, that's just an automatic.
It's also consistent with the Uniform Budgeting Act, permits the county administrator designated under the Uniform Budgeting Act to make those changes in allocations. What you're really doing, you're not changing a budget appropriation, changing allocations, and that's permitted under the Uniform Budgeting Act. Just confirming that specific authority.
Any discussion? Not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0.
Thank you.
And we'll get copy of all.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
We can do a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
All right, Amber.
Break open that sandwich you brought.
I actually, Will, he gave me half of his son's peanut butter and jelly sandwich, so. But this is a little higher end deal here, so.
I got another one.
I'll stick with this one. All right.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
That was so warm. Oh, I know. I keep getting warm when I open it, I get cold. Well, it's fun to see you.
That was crazy.
What time did we post it?
I think it was 11, immediately following the VOC executive.
I can look back for a notice for the exact time, but I think it's at 11. No, not till 1, it was in the following, and it's kind of a shorter
Right.
thing, so a lot of it should go.
We're sure some of
The name is up there. It's not so-
Suggestions.
Okay.
Been getting information all along, so I said.
That's all right.
Oh, great.
I ran it out of
Oh, oh, you're right. No, it was his. Oh.
Conflict of interest, like the several discussion.
Pardon me.
Okay.
I'll just like 30 pages. I didn't know.
It's how many?
I don't, it was,
No, it was only like 3, right?
let me check.
Steve.
Oh, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming. I can do, I
Let
can't
me
have
see,
4.
let me see.
Oh,
No, I own
oh,
that.
that's awesome. Thank you. I should know.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know what? It's page 89. Oh,
89 to what?
99 to 117.
Maybe.
Right, it's all me, that's what.
Well, that's, I know.
That's what we'll need the county. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, it's a fair point.
I know.
Well, we have meetings.
I'm shooting here. I don't know. Well, I'm back part-time, yeah. Every day for some hours.
There she is.
I wonder if we.
But there you are.
Thanks.
This thing won't stay on.
Oh, that's weird.
I know it. It says 2 minutes. I can't get it to change from there.
Oh, so it goes to sleep on you?
Yeah, and it goes to sleep in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, she'd be here, or worse. Maybe after me, just stop in and we'll reset it for you. I can, so I don't know, my kids do that process.
See, it says locking on. It says 2 minutes.
I see. So if you.
Won't let me change.
Oh, there we go.
Does it change it? No, it's still 2 minutes.
I don't think it'll lock.
Oh, I don't know, I gotta get the road, I spent so long since I emailed again. Well, that's probably when I'll go, but it's usually.
Oh,
my
you only have
car
7%.
was-
That's why.
What's that?
Trying to see what's.
Yeah, I'm paying for it, yeah.
Have your.
Well, I think the club.
Hey, I just sent you some stuff, I think to your phone, nothing. The photos.
That's have it here. That's what it is.
Just kidding.
I should have, should have read the
But-
instructions.
They might have an extra cord in their office. Need it for the rest of the meeting.
Mike says that he can use a.
I don't know where
Oh,
that's
there.
so.
That's why I left it aside, okay?
My favorite one is, yeah.
Do you know, no, this is the last one, so we have enough except for the back page.
At daycare, throws it on the catch. Stuff in the tree.
Okay, if you can give me an idea, I'll send you some information
I don't know
about
how.
what's what, okay?
I don't know how.
I'll just email it to you.
And I'm not sure.
Like, just, people with pictures, in case you want to use it another time or another, whatever, okay? It's such a cute. Well, I've got a lot, I think I have one of her, that we could use for the front of the front, but I also have, like, I took some stills of all the stacks of stuff they had, et cetera.
Where's Portage? Portage would be just south of Kalamazoo.
Okay.
Just south of Kalamazoo.
Sound good?
Oh, you're awesome.
All right, thank you.
Nothing
Bye.
Well,
Thank you.
why, hey, Lauren, why were you there last night?
Why was I there?
Yeah.
Because I'm on the Township Parks and Rec.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so I've been helping with that CRP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
But people-
opinions on that.
There's a lot of opinions on it. and
Yeah.
people Because it's all about Hancock.
Well, for them it is.
Yes.
I didn't see anyone really speak on the Lake Leelanau side of anything. Whatever that, they're less involved. I think, so.
They're very, they really wanted to put that growth. Yeah, and maybe you and I can delve about that, but
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
now you've heard from, now the other shoe is dropped.
did Rick leave?
Oh.
He was downstairs, I just saw him.
Oh, okay. Did you want to wait for him? Oh, here he comes.
Figure it out.
All right, we'll resume our meeting here. On the building and safety, we got Amber here for discussion on the vehicle take home procedure.
Morning, everybody. So I sent you all some additional data from when we last talked, and I believe it was September, so there's mileage information, number of inspections, and fuel costs. As a reminder, the fuel costs, that's all inspectors. I don't have a way to break it out by user, and I didn't have the November numbers before I sent this off to you, but this shows what we've continued to do since we first started talking about this. So it is an added benefit to the county, especially I noticed a ramp up as our lovely winter weather blew into the county. Everybody wanted to get their concrete in, and they were calling before they were ready. So having to make multiple stops the same day or come in early the next day and go right to the site, that's been a huge advantage on the building inspector side of things. So questions?
Will you refresh my mind on what we're doing with that inspector that was, Acme.
When you say, what are we doing with him? What do you?
How are we collecting money for mileage or not?
Kathy, could you speak to that?
And I did some research with regard to the IRS. In this situation, these vehicles is a fringe benefit to the employee. It is not a collection of mileage reimbursement to the county. We actually will be amending their earnings record for an amount that the IRS allows, and I think it's minimal grid. And I'm going to say 120 one way, $1.20. So if it's from the county to the home, it's 120. From home to work, it's 120. I've asked Amber for a log of how many times the vehicle was not parked here overnight, basically, so we know what to amend the earnings record for the employee. That will incur a taxable income increase to the employee by those trips. It also will have FICA and Medicare withholding and our match. So there's additional cost. Grand Traverse County does this, and they do it quarterly. This is a pilot program. You're evaluating it here. I have asked Amber this morning because our last payroll is is being processed, and I just want to make sure we get the earnings records correct for 2025. So fair?
Yes, and I just want to emphasize again, it could be classified as a benefit to the employee, but it really is not, in the sense that the IRS rule that we're relying on that permits that minimum income recognition for personal use of the vehicle or driving the vehicle to and from home requires a finding that, or at least not a finding, that's an accurate way to say it, requires a documented support that it fulfills a business purpose to do that. We have to demonstrate that there's a reason for the building safety department to offer that as an option. And what Amber's trying to emphasize in her report is that there is an advantage to the building safety department, that we're able to do more inspections in the southern part of the county, in particular, early in the morning when the demand is very, very high. And without that, without this program, we wouldn't be able to do that. And the scheduling, it just makes the scheduling a lot easier. That's the benefit to the building safety department. That's the emphasis of the IRS rule. It has to be a benefit to the employer, not to the employee.
Yeah, I was wondering about how many miles a year do your inspectors average? I mean, some of these are almost 3,000 miles in a month, and others are, 1,500 or so. So do you know about an average of what you put on your vehicles?
I don't. It's not anything that's been permanently tracked, at least consistently. I know a couple of them just for their own curiosity track it, but it's written on a piece of paper. So I don't have any conclusive data. I mean, I could do my best to get you something, but it would probably only be for this year. I don't have anything previously.
So how long do you keep your vehicles then?
Roughly 3 years. I mean, that's the average we've been running.
But about what mileage do they have on them after 3 years? Over 100,000 or not?
That's about the time I start talking to you guys about it.
Yeah.
So thereabouts. If the vehicle is in pretty good condition still, even with that, I mean, the Ford Escape has got way over 100,000, but that's our fill-in vehicle. So as long as we could still milk it, so to speak.
So it sounds like you do about 30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Account.
Well, we got a lot of lakes to go around.
Mr. Rollins?
First of all, I'd like to start off with the one that's in question here. There's 4 counties out. Is that a full-time or part-time employee?
Part-time.
Part-time, that's what I thought. I've done a lot of research because I work with a lot of counties during the week, and I've talked to a lot of administrators. And they were taken back that we would allow a vehicle of ours, Leelanau County, to go that far out of the county. There's been some exceptions where these other counties have let them take them, but to go 60 miles, they were really quite surprised. It being part-time, that means that vehicle is what, parked about 4 days a week in someone's driveway. And if we needed it, we'd have to send somebody 60 miles one way to pick it up if you needed it for another employee. I guess one thing, we talked about enterprise today, maybe when we do go to enterprise, they can put trackers on, so we do know the mileage. Know where the vehicles are going.
Well, they are being tracked right now. That was a part of the pilot program. So it's an
On the
app.
cell phone.
Yeah, on the cell phone.
I prefer, you're at the honesty of the employee. I'm not saying they're dishonest, but you're at their, discretion. I guess something that I've thought about since this started was the question to the administrator is, has anybody ever contacted our insurance carrier to see how they feel driving one of our vehicles that far out of the county?
It isn't a problem depending on the location of where it's being driven doesn't
Okay,
have
they're
an
not,
impact on our
they're
insurance.
not being that extra miles.
Correct.
Okay, all right. I guess what I would like to do, I'm against it. I don't feel you could justify enough work in South End of my district to keep that employee busy all the time. He or she is gonna have to go to Northport, Glen Arbor, Empire. I mean, I know there's construction down in my district, but again, you're not gonna keep that person busy all the time. So at some point, it's gonna dry up, or it could dry up. I'm not for this, being a part-time employee. I'm gonna recommend after the first year, I'm gonna bring it for discussion, that we revisit this policy and that part-time employees, they gotta be a full-time employee to have a take-home that far out of county. And that we maybe put some restrictions on it, maybe 20 miles out of county and not 60. So that's where I stand on it.
Any other questions or discussion?
Well, you just need a part-time employee. That's why this person is a part-time employee rather than full-time.
Correct.
So if you can't find part-time, that slows response times, or would you reconsider whether maybe you gotta have a full-time because no one's gonna take a part-time? Where does that put you in the department, I guess is my question.
Where that puts us back in the department is that the full-time mechanical, who's also dual licensed for plumbing, is working round the clock. It makes it hard for him to take any kind of personal time, any leave time. So if we eliminate the position, the current person in the part-time role has no desire to be a full-time position. Part of why we went part-time is I wanted to make sure I could guarantee enough work for 2 full-time individuals. And at this time, there isn't a necessary need for 2 full-time employees.
And it looked like your number of inspections is not going down.
No. Not at this time.
Per your report.
Yeah, you listed the 3 different drivers and their mileage. Which one was the part-time?
The part-time is B gross. So there are 3 inspectors using the vehicles. One's part-time, the other 2 are full-time. C McNitt is the only one that lives within the county. The other 2 both reside outside of the county. C Sessoms lives in Benzie County.
They're all doing about the same number of inspections?
I wouldn't say the same number of inspections. That was listed in that breakout there for you for 25. So I would say Charlie definitely does more on the building side than the other 2 do, but there is a steady increase from where we were at previously.
Well, I share the same concern that Commissioner Robbins does about, I know we need the person, but I don't know that we can justify driving through Traverse City and into another county. And I don't know how the IRS does $1.20 a day, but I couldn't drive that far with my car for $1.20. So I would like to review.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, not, I guess I'll request that if you want the January agenda. Look at that again, look at the policy and have more discussion.
Would you guys like me to be present for that, or that's just, you're just talking about the policy, or is that gonna be anything department specific at that time?
I would imagine very
I mean, I'll be
helpful.
here, but if you're looking to talk more about the policy, I don't know that I should necessarily weigh in on that. That's a discussion for you all.
You're a department head.
It's gonna impact you.
Yes.
one way or the
You
other.
should have some input.
Okay.
When I talk about policy, I'm not just directed towards you, I'm talking about
Oh, yeah.
all our departments.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Next up, item number 7, Parks and Rec, for barn lease agreement provisions. Take them on.
Yes, that's the barn on the south side of Burryville Road, near Miles Kimberly Park. It's the north side, it's the north side. Anyways, for the last few months, I've been talking with the group that leases that barn from the county, the Leelanau County Historic Preservation Society. They are asking for some modifications to the lease they're concerned that some of the provisions of the lease will limit their ability to use the property for rental purposes, for example, and for fundraising, for their own fundraising purposes. A couple of the provisions regarding like the application of the Miles Kimberly Park rules, even though it's across the street and not completely associated with being part of the park. They're concerned about that. There's a provision of the lease that prevents the use of the premises for proprietary purposes. And I don't believe that was intended to prohibit them from using for-profit. For example, like have a for-profit caterer come to do an event that they're using for a fundraiser. I think it was intended to prohibit the exception to governmental immunity that might impair our ability to defend legal claims, liability claims brought on that part. And that's a completely different situation, but they're concerned that provision would prohibit them. Also, there's a question regarding the use of alcohol in the park and in their connection with fundraising activities. They're asking that they be permitted to do that as long as the provider is appropriately licensed and insured. And finally, they would like to eliminate the joint committee that determines the specific use of the barn and related activities. The concern that I have about that is we're leasing property to someone, and then there are county entities, in particular members of the Parks and Rec Committee, that can restrict their ability to use the property through the application of that joint committee. To me, that's contrary to the lease, in particular, what's the general provision of the lease is referred to as quiet enjoyment, or quiet possession, where the landowner, the lessee is permitted to use the property without interference by the landlord, in this case, the county. So they've asked me to make some changes or suggest some changes, and it would require your approval. So what we're asking is that you give me the authority to negotiate those modifications, present it to legal counsel for final approval, or subject to their approval, and then bring it back to you for consideration once that negotiation is completed.
Schroeder,
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners permit the modification to 2018 lease agreement with the Leelanau County Historic Preservation Society. Authorize the county administrator to negotiate modification of the lease as presented and subject to approval as to form by the county's legal counsel, and authorize the county board chair to sign the modified lease upon completion.
or support discussion? Mr. Bunny?
Yeah, I would prefer that it go to our legal counsel for the modifications as opposed to having the administrator do it.
It will go to them for.
Yeah, but after you modify it, that's the way it's written anyway. That's the way I read it.
No, negotiate. I just want to make sure that what they want the changes that they want, to get those clarified, and then I'll present those to legal counsel and they'll modify the lease, not me.
But I do have concerns about the historical society selling alcohol or having someone sell alcohol at the county and raising money for their events. I mean, we do have 4-H carts right there next to them. We also have young people across the street as well. So I just think that that's not something we really want to start in the county parks of the selling of alcohol. Whether it's they do it or they have a vendor do it, you know, and I'm just sure, I'm just wondering how will allowing alcohol with all these ramifications reflect on our county. You know, if the Board of Commissioners says he has to have alcohol at the barn events, what kind of precedence does this set for all county parks? Yeah, I'm just, you know, and then they're also talking about vendors coming in and selling, you know, at the, because it still is our property.
Other discussion?
This group. I just thought I might have been the subject of your conversation.
No.
This group wants to be and has succeeded as far as they've gone in being somewhat like a Fishtown Preservation Society, or a group that is involved, wants to make it better to improve one of our assets in the county. And they say their committee or commission, can't remember, I guess they're, what's
They're a nonprofit.
Their board says that they have big plans, but they think from conversations at the Parks Commission, they've got backers, but they really do need a commitment from us. I can understand that, and I can understand actually the alcohol. I wish we had maybe tighten that up as far as, I obviously don't want permission to run a bar there or things like that. And we need to tighten that up if we're going to make that change. I'm sure Jim's well aware of that. And my other comment is I'd like to see it come back to us. Rather, for instance, there was a question on this committee. I don't know if that's going to get negotiated in their favor or our favor, but there seems to be some, I don't want to say controversy, but difference of opinions on whether that committee should stay or not. Did I hear that? Yeah.
They would like to eliminate the committee for really two reasons. They've had a hard time getting it together. But the second is really more important, is on what grounds does a lessor like the county have to say you can't use the property for this purpose when you've leased to them for an excess of 25 years?
Right.
And you're expecting them to raise money to preserve an asset that belongs to you. That's the real issue. They need the flexibility to operate.
It belongs to us, although it wouldn't belong to anyone if it wasn't for this group, because it'd be torn down and sold as scrap. So I like the idea of giving them more flexibility to develop a business plan. I would just like to see this finished product come back to us rather than just giving carte blanche to authority to our legal counsel to change the lease without us seeing it in its final form.
That was the intent. I think that's why, was it planning to come back here before?
Well, it does authorize you to sign the lease upon completion, but we would bring it back.
It's just not part of the motion,
I
and
think
that's.
that'd be wise.
We can certainly do that.
So does that need a amended motion to? do
I
that,
think you
or-
could just add at the end of the existing motion upon approval of the county board. Just add that as a very end of the motion.
Sure, I didn't make any motions.
I would accept that.
Second supports that.
Say yes. Yes.
All right, we're good to go. Try that again later.
Now, yes.
So the motion that's on the table is authorize the county board chair to sign the modified lease upon completion. So do you want me to just strike that part and then that way it forces you to bring it back?
Just add upon completion, comma, after approval by the county board.
Thank you.
Continue now.
Okay,
You got that?
not really, but I'll listen and fix it.
I think you get our idea. It's just to, prior to the county board signing it, bring it back to this full board for final approval.
Yeah, so typically though, from my point of view, on a motion, I wouldn't have it state that you're gonna authorize it because that's what they're going to do in your motion when you bring it back.
Right.
So that's what's confusing. So from my point of writing a motion, I would just say approval as to form by the county's legal counsel, period. And then it would be, once that's taken care of, it would be added to an agenda and then you would authorize the county board to sign the modified lease. Does that make sense?
That's fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
I'll figure it out for Tuesday.
When and time, you both okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 6-1. All right, next up, we are up to administration, number 8, which is proposed sale of the county property, Rossville Sellers Park. The administrator report on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an interesting situation. If you look at the second, or the first rather, attachment to the EDS, you'll see that there is property that is actually owned by the county that is across South Dunn's Farm Road from the Old Settlers Park. It was originally part of, I don't know if I included, I didn't include. If you can visualize the lot lines drawn north, well, I'm trying to explain that with words, it's not gonna work. Originally, Old Settlers Park was 3 separate parcels. There's the church parcel to what would be the kind of that'd be the northwest, and then there was a smaller parcel on the other side that was purchased much later. The middle area that does have the triangle south of Dunn's Farm Park was the original purchase for Old Settlers Park. Why it crossed Dunn's Farm Road is difficult to know exactly. This occurred back in 1912, as I recall, I mentioned that in the EDS, but when it was purchased, that southern triangle parcel has never been used for part of the park. And right now, its only use is for the access to parcels that are south of Dunn's Farm Road. And the owners of those parcels are proposing that we allow them to purchase that so then they can provide appropriate easements for all the parcels in the area and guarantee their use of that. for ingress and egress. Originally, and I indicated in the EDS, there is an easement that does exist on the triangular parcel currently that the county granted back in 1985. So it's been used for ingress and egress for over 40 years. Why it wasn't formalized at that point, I don't know. But the sale of the property makes more sense than to simply grant easements here or there. In fact, the easement that was granted in 1985 was for a duration of only 99 years. So it'll expire at some point in time, just not certainly in my lifetime, but it will expire. So having these property owners own that parcel makes, from their perspective, a lot more sense. And they also want to do some landscaping and that sort of thing that would be inconsistent with merely granting an easement. So this is a proposal that they brought to interim administrator Richard Lewis, and I've been working on it since this spring. So we're just asking for the permission from the authority to negotiate a sales agreement that's acceptable to the county's legal counsel to sell that property. They're suggesting a net purchase price of $15,000 with all the expenses of the sale to be borne by the purchasers, rather than the typical splitting of those expenses.
Mr. Wessel?
And we have talked about this in the past. Are we sure that 15,000 is the right amount, or might we negotiate
it certainly is negotiable.
Almost an acre of pretty nice land.
But it's an acre of pretty nice land that really only has one purpose or use. For example, you couldn't sell this well, you could, but it would be eminently unreasonable for you to sell this parcel to anybody other than 3 people that are adjacent to it to the south, because you would basically landlock their parcels then, subject only to an easement, the one easement that does exist. So $15,000 for an acre of land that has really only ingress and egress use. I don't know whether that's high or low, to be honest. But that's what they suggested, and what Richard Lewis indicated they would.
All right, Commissioner Money?
Yeah, I mean, I would give you 20,000 for it right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I will. For 0.94 acres, I'd be happy to do that. I mean, I tried to buy a 0.62 acres on 204, and it went for over almost $70,000. And it was just a hill straight up. So this is right on, Dunn's Farm Road. It's a very nice piece of property. When I was the chair of the Park and Rec, we actually would use it to put some of the debris and the leaves from the park on that property. So the county has used it. It isn't like they didn't know it was there.
I'm not
It's a
suggesting.
nice triangle. So I mean, if we're gonna sell it, I would be happy to buy it for that.
Mr. Ross?
So what township is that?
This is Empire.
Yep.
Empire Township.
So for that small of a parcel, do we know if anybody can build on that?
I have not explored that.
We wouldn't be
I can tell
wouldn't
you-
be selling it to an individual, we'd be selling it to the association, right?
No, it would be sold to the individual owners that owners multiple that currently use it for ingress and egress. And that's the real problem. We could sell it to a third party, and then you'd end up getting sued, the property owners that use it for ingress and egress. So that's why it has such limited value, because of that fact. You're not going to buy.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting headline for you.
Can we-
Commissioner blocks people's egress from their property.
Save your life.
My next question is
as opposed
I just
to.
wanted to cover,
Charged a toll.
All right, let Commissioner Robbins finish here.
I'm sorry.
yeah, I just want to cover everything here. I guess the next question I have is, well, maybe goes to finance too. Since this is Parks and Rec. On the sale, if we do complete a sale here, can that money go back into Parks and Rec?
You could certainly say that and require that. I mean, the whole purpose of the EDS and the motion is to get this in front of you to discuss. You may need to revise that motion in any number of ways when it comes, presuming it'll come back to you either as a consent item or as an individual discussion item. So this was intended to get this issue in front of you for at least a decision in some direction to the administration as to how you want us to proceed.
Commissioner Campbell.
I don't think we're giving this enough credit as public land. I'm kind of a public land advocate. We may not have a plan today for that acre, nearly an acre. We might tomorrow have a plan for that 1 acre, but I know when you sell it, you're not getting it back. Has this, can I ask you, has this gone to legal counsel for an opinion as far as the usability of that lot?
Not to outside legal counsel, no.
Well, you were making an assumption that it isn't first, that it's, I'm not sure, we haven't made this assumption, I'm not sure why I went that, other than we only have one offer, it's $15,000, and that's what's in front of us. And you may hear.
Two offers, because he offered 20.
Oh, yeah, we got 2 offers.
I got 21.5.
You may hear that, you may read the headline that 3 property owners were blocked. I hear the headline, Leelanau County sold 1 acre of park property for $15,000.
Right.
That's the one that doesn't sit right with me. We don't have to do anything with this property. There's no demand from these property owners that they want to sue us somehow for possession because we haven't used it, and apparently we have used it. There's a lot of state land out there next to homes that I'm sure would be would qualify under the same term. So I guess I spoke passionately about it, but I'm kind of passionate about this stuff.
And with respect to that, at page 75 of the packet, you'll see the concept plan for Old Settlers picnic grounds, and it includes nothing south of Dunn's Farm Road. So
that's a 5-year plan?
Huh?
That's a 5-year plan?
That's the concept plan for Old Settlers Park in the existing Parks and Rec master plan. So yes, we don't have a plan for use of it right now. I agree, we may have a plan for use of it in the future, but to the extent we use it inconsistent with the current ability of the adjoining property owners to ingress and egress to their property, you create substantially more legal problems than you're going to solve by public use of that land. So that's up to you.
Is it, and this goes back to a long time ago, we were talking about how these are written. It's a suggested recommendation that we have on the back. Is it your recommendation, or is it if we want to sell it, that would be what you would suggest as a recommendation?
Yes, we suggest a motion that is the beginning point for discussion at this meeting. The whole point of having an executive board meeting and then later a full board meeting is that you can vet out these issues that you have. So when it comes back to you, either as a consent item or as an individual item for discussion, you have a motion that you really want to vote on at that time.
So it is not your recommendation, or is it your recommendation that we sell?
No, I'm not making that as a recommendation. It's just, if you choose to sell, here's the motion that you would use to accomplish that. I think it's a good idea to resolve this issue because it's going to be outstanding until you do resolve it. And
They have a lease
owners
now for 99 years?
Excuse me?
They have a lease now for 99 years?
No, there is one easement on the property that was granted in 1985 that serves several of the parcels, but not all of them. Not all of them. So.
Well, I don't always agree with Commissioner Campbell, but I do on this one. I don't think we need that $15,000 and maybe someday we'll have the money to build pickleball courts on there.
There you go.
On a hill.
I think you really need to look at the property and how it's located and how it's currently used.
Yeah.
I think so too.
This is not something that you will ever legitimately use for park purposes, other than as potentially, as Commissioner Bunnick indicates, the storage of leaves or soil or something like that. And it detracts from the adjoining property owners' use of their parcels. I can provide some photographs that I have. If you have some issues.
I think we need photographs. I'm close enough. That at this point I want to go see, because if there are driveways going through there,
That's all that's going through that parcel, that property, right?
it's not like we're going to be able to do much with it. If we want to hang on to it and just keep it on a lease,
There's
whatever,
no
but-
lease. There is no lease. There is an easement.
or an easement.
It expires in a few years.
Okay. 40.
More than a few.
So maybe we
Is
need
it
to see.
2084.
99 years.
Well,
2085 or 83, I mean.
So in 2083.
But you have photographs
You can
of the
solve it then.
driveways?
Yeah. Well,
I could.
I might be alive, but
all right, so to move this along, from the consensus I'm gathering is not to, we're not ready to move on with this, so.
No action taken.
No action, so
Thank you.
it's that's not what I'm getting unless somebody has a strong urge to get more information, I guess.
Or a $20,000 certified check from Bonnie.
He might get in a bidder's war.
Well, that was my only, I felt like what they were offering there was way undervalued, but we could actually get it, and that's, but.
yeah, and if we're gonna sell a piece of property, then let's sell a piece of property.
Right,
If we're gonna give it away, I'll take it.
All right, so moving on. Next we have item number B, which is audit RFP, award of contracts to Clark, Schaefer, and Hackett.
I move to recommend Leelanau County Commissioners accept the bid of CSH for auditing services, authorize county administrator to negotiate contract for the audit years 2025 to 2028 in the form of approved by the county legal counsel with the first year amount not to exceed $70,000. Terms consistent with the RFP. In response received by CSH and authorized the board chair to sign the contract on behalf of the county board.
Second.
Moved and supported, discussion? Mr. Wessel?
I'd like to have us consider amending that motion to a 1-year agreement with the option to renew. I just think these are new auditors. Let's see what our relationship is. And let's if they do a good job for us and we like what they're doing, we can renew the contract and probably negotiate the same kind of deal that we can this way as well. So I think 3 years is too much of a commitment to make.
It's not very often I agree with my fellow commissioner here, but I do.
What I would anticipate is any contract that we would have an option to renew. The only reason that I suggested audit years 25 through 2028 is the RFP did request multiple year bids. And the only way you could hold the audit firm to those bid numbers would be to have it contained in the contract with the right to renew. Typically, the way I would do this contract, rather than to have it be a 4-year contract, it'd be a 1-year contract with the right to terminate rather than a right to renew. Or, excuse me, a 4-year contract with the right to terminate rather than the right to renew. That's how I would do it if I was acting as legal counsel.
Well, and that accomplishes the
Yes.
same thing. I can do that, but I think we need that option.
Commissioner Bunting?
Yeah, I think, you know, we sat down, we asked, they gave us a price in good faith. And if we start opening it up, I think then again, we're not negotiating in good faith. And we're also, you know, trying to do something different than what we've told them we're gonna do. Then if we leave that open, they could possibly raise the price on us if they want to, but I think if we've made a 3-year commitment, that's what we told them, we should stick with that. You know, there is an option in it to let them go, you know, if things aren't right. So we have that option already, if we're not satisfied. So I think that we need to stick with what we've told them we're gonna do and what we've asked for. I don't think we should start modifying it. I think we're great, but not a lack of trust in this board.
Any other discussion?
Just, do you accomplish that with the right to terminate?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think guys are talking around the same discussion.
That's how I would prepare the contract.
So the contract that we have with them will in fact say that we have the right to terminate.
Yeah, and we could take the last line out to authorize it and just indicate we'll bring it back to you for final approval. The reason that I wanted to authorize the chair to sign is we'd like to get them started right away, no later than January. They had actually proposed a mid-January initial audit meeting, so.
All right, everybody have good terms with that? All right, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up, item number C, jail kitchen stand mixer.
Yes, this is basically a large commercial mixer that is currently used at the jail. My understanding it was purchased in 2004. It's been used only a few times, and it is not intended to. They don't intend to use it again. We originally were going to dispose of this through my authority to dispose of equipment with an estimated value of less than $500, but we've seen a similar mixer of similar age listed on auction sites for in excess of $800. So we want your approval to just take care of this in that fashion.
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners declare the stand mixer at the Leelanau County Jail as surplus. Authorize the administrator to sell said stand mixer.
Support. Support by Commissioner Walter, discussion?
How big is this mixer?
I can't tell you. But it's a large commercial that like what you would make large batches of bread with that kind of thing.
Cause I was thinking for $500, it'd save me on doctor bills, like a place right between Ty and I wouldn't have to stir the pot so much.
It was how to get for 6.
You want in on this, Mr. Bonin?
All right, any other discussion? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, next up, we are at item number D, close out contract with Midway Electronics, which was referred to earlier.
We've had some discussion of this already. What essentially we're asking you to allocate $90,000 from the delinquent tax revolving fund to allow us to close out that contract. There's going to be again, the original amount that we paid, $202,750 really paid for the materials. What we're proposing to do is pay an amount that we've been invoiced from Midway for work that they would have done, but work that they have already done in fulfillment of the contract, but haven't been paid for, and then fund up to $20,000 for for delivery. So we're asking a $90,000 transfer for that, for those two purposes.
Motion?
I move to recommend that Leelanau County Board of Commissioners allocate $90,000 for the delinquent tax development fund. 516 transfer funds to Communications Capital Project Fund 468 to authorize payment of invoice 56216 as presented to pay for delivery costs of the invoice on receipt.
Second.
Support, discussion? Fine.
I think after this, we need to stay out of the tower business. We have not had very good success with towers.
Well, a recommendation would be to get approved before we purchase them. So.
Yeah.
I thought they had that, just it wasn't the case.
Was any of this budgeted or?
It's not, well, this is.
Be in 2025 or 6. I didn't see it in 26.
That's why the transfer from the DTR fund. Finance director and I, Kathy, we've had some discussions on how to properly budget these kind of items. And in the past, what you've done is you approve contracts and then move money once the project is we've authorized the project. I don't think that that's an appropriate way to do it. It should have been budgeted at the beginning, but essentially what you're doing is a budget amendment to permit payment.
I concur with you.
You have an approved contract. You're obligated under the contract. You don't have a choice.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0. All right, next up, item number E, approval of amended interlocal agreement, medical examiner services.
Yes, got the wrong page. 4, yes. As you may recall, back in the summer, you authorized a joint RFP with Leelanau County, Grand Traverse County, to alter the way that they provide medical examiner services. In the past, they had a staff of clerical staff and investigators that were employed by Grand Traverse County, and then they contracted for the performance of the actual autopsies with Western Michigan University Homer Stryker Medical School Department of Pathology. They determined that that was an inefficient method for Grand Traverse County to perform that service, and they sought an RFP to have the entirety, clerical, investigative, autopsies, all of that covered in one contract. They did that. They put out an RFP. I believe the only bid that they received was from Western Michigan as well. They have agreed to provide that service on a flat rate basis. They were originally going to provide transportation as well, but Grand Traverse County has found a more cost-effective means of doing that with a company called Northern Michigan Mortuary Logistics. That's the situation where they bring bodies from both the site of death to the morgue, from the morgue to the funeral homes, and all of that. All that transportation is done by that company now, or will be come the first of the year. In the past, we paid a flat rate of I can't remember. I believe it's about $6,300, give or take a few there, for the services of Grand Traverse County, their employees essentially. Then we paid separately for the autopsies themselves. What Grand Traverse County is proposing is a contract, because they are now doing all of this by contract. They're proposing a contract for us that will be all inclusive for $120,000 a year, $10,000 billed monthly, $10,000 a month. And that'll pay for the full amount of the autopsies, as well as all the clerical and other other processes that are necessary to have a proper medical examiner service. The the changes in the contract, I provided you a red line version of that. That eliminates the other expenses in section on page 88 in red. Eliminates all those, the transportation, the EMS investigative fees, lab fees, all of that, forensic autopsy fees are all eliminated. And again, our obligation is just the $10,000 monthly payment. The unique aspect of this, or the only thing that is an addition to what's been done in the past, is Grand Traverse County is going to start seeking contracts for body transportation as well from other counties that end up using their medical examiner process, even though they don't have contracts with them for that. For example, if someone dies in Benzie County and is transported to they are a Benzie County resident, but they go to Munson Hospital and die there, the autopsy has to be performed by Grand Traverse County at its expense. But they're going to be seeking funds from Benzie County for the transportation of the body and that sort of thing. The statute requires that Grand Traverse County do the autopsy at their expense, but it doesn't require transportation expenses be borne by Grand Traverse. So if they're able to get additional contracts for the bodily transport, that would reduce our expense. And that provision is reflected in the contract. We don't have any guarantee of that, but we have that possibility to reduce that amount. The only other thing that I would indicate is that currently our 2028 budget was $108,500. So this amount is a little bit in excess of that amount, and it will require in 2026 a budget amendment once we have paid the first few months of that contract. This will exceed the budget probably around October. If that provides you with sufficient information. You're statutorily required to have a medical examiner, and this contract fulfills that statutory obligation.
Motion, Mr. Money?
I move to recommend that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the revised interlocal agreement with Grand Traverse County and authorize the county board chair to sign the agreement as presented. The funds to come from the account number 101-530-648-801.
Second.
Support, discussion?
I just wondered what in your one sentence, you said our $120,000 first year cost is comparable to $370,000 in first year fixed cost. But I didn't quite understand what was it, but maybe I just my interpretation of that wording. I didn't understand what that meant.
To be honest, I don't either. That appears to have been an editing issue.
Okay.
I think what I was trying to say was, we're trying to compare that to the budgeted amount of $108,500, how that got in there.
Oh, okay. Was this negotiated by Cole Stoker? Is this the one that we signed off on for?
Yes.
Cole to represent both sides of that negotiation, right?
It wasn't, all they did was prepare the contract. They didn't negotiate anything. They just prepared the contract based upon the, because they were involved in three contracts. The contract with the Homer Stryker Medical School, the contract with the mortuary transport company, and then the interlocal agreement with us. We don't have any involvement with those other two contracts. The only involvement we have is through those two contracts. Grand Traverse County provides the service to us, which we are otherwise required by statute.
Didn't it used to be someone downstate who did that?
It is, well, that,
These guys are downstate.
yes, this is Western Michigan University's Homer Stryker School of Medicine.
Okay.
Their pathology department in Kalamazoo, they're continuing to do that. The only difference is they're expanding the services that they perform to be all the investigative. They're gonna hire all the clerical staff that's associated with that. They'll know that staff will no longer be Grand Traverse County employees. That's the difference.
It doesn't sound like we have a choice. I do wish we had comparables as far as how many autopsies we need per year, things like that.
The problem is it's very difficult to predict that. It can be 3 1 year and 3 the next.
Yeah, just, I meant the history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say one for me.
Any other discussion?
Wasn't that in the report that he gave us?
Oh, when he was here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there was a report on
Yeah.
that and it showed the history a little bit.
No.
So we'd have to dig that up to see it.
Any other discussion? No. Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 7-0. All right, moving on to number 9, Board of Commissioners appointments. Just need a motion to move that forward, I guess. Mike?
I'll make a motion to move that forward to next Tuesday.
Support. All right, motion supported, discussion. Not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0. Stuff, we have the elected official deputy compensation for discussion. Let's start that discussion. That's what your money wants to.
Well, I just went through these and I'm glad we got Grand Traverse County, but I didn't use this, and I did an average of each office. In the treasurer's office, the average is approximately 82,000. I did round it around, but 82,000, and so we're at 88. For the clerk's office, the average was 81,000, we're at 88. For the register of deeds, it's 78,000, we're at 88. You know, for the sheriff's office, the average was 95,000, and we're at 99. For the undersheriff, it was 88,000, we're at 95. You know, for the prosecutor's office, I didn't do that one, but we're obviously the lowest, so I know well, he's being underpaid. But he said he's okay with that.
Did you ask Amy?
I thought it was ironic that you would come up with being the lowest one, Joe.
So I'm just showing that, other than the prosecutor, we are above the average of these, if we exclude Grand Traverse County. And in some places, we're $10,000 above the average. So I did do the undersheriff, and that came out at 88,000 was the average, and we're at 95.
It is pretty glaring that our prosecutor is so much less.
We're not talking about that one.
Yeah. You had your chance at the budget.
The counties are paying for you.
So it looks like we're overpaying the register of deeds by a considerable amount. And all the rest of them.
I don't know if we're overpaying anybody,
Well,
but it is, enlightening that we're not way out of the ballpark. And I understand that costs are higher than in Leelanau County, but, you know, that's what it is. And, you know, if you're, like I said, as a lieutenant in the Department of Corrections, I could make it as much as a warden if I wanted to work all my holidays and all my weekends. You know, if I was willing to put in 400 hours of overtime a year, So if you've got sergeants or lieutenants that are available to get overtime and they're working that overtime because nobody else wants it, and they're putting those hours in, I mean, that's just the way it is. Their base pay is below what the undersheriff pay is. And that's just the way it is.
Thank you for making the point that we are the most expensive place to live in the state.
Well, probably not the most expensive.
Well, we have the highest home searches. So I think that's an excellent point.
When I presented this, gotta go back to how this stuff originated. Where the problem lies is, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, it's what it is, but it started a year ago with nothing against that individual, but previous board and interim administrator made that facilities director's position. He started them out, that's 93,000. That threw us out of whack. And that's the problem here. I agree with Mark, sergeants or depths want to work overtime, they can, but then we just changed lieutenants. They don't get overtime anymore. Their salary. Our lieutenant is making more than our undersheriff at the end of the year. And this is what's throwing everything out of whack. Yeah, if you look at it, it looks fine, but let's look at the main issue here. We got a problem with our mid-range administration that is making more than our elected and our upper administrators. That's what we need to really look at and discuss it. That's what the issue is. What we need, or can we fix it? I don't know. But that's what the issue is here. It's not Grand Traverse County, it's not Wexford, it's not Antrim, it's not Benson. We already knew that. The problem is how do we fix the problem we have in Leelanau County?
What's your suggestion?
I don't know. I'm waiting on 6 of you to help out.
And can I steer us in a little different direction? Just the one, I mean, obviously the are important issues and they're brought to light through this. Can't figure out the drain commissioner. These other counties just don't have a drain commissioner, don't have drains.
A lot of them are volunteer, from my understanding.
Is that right?
I know for a fact, Benzie County, they have one. I didn't even think he was paid, but I see that now, but I don't think they have a trainer, so.
Smart
They have an elected, they have an elected position, so, so I think that's what a lot of it's just,
Okay.
a lot of it's volunteer.
Yeah, and no offense against Tim, obviously, but we kind of went a little crazy on the drains there for a while.
I know we have, there's a drain commission in Sheboygan County. I thought they had a salary, so that's what.
And I think what is Grand Traverse, is that full-time now? Is that a part-time? Because it used to be like.
Selected, so.
It used to be, they got like 10, 15,000, so they're up to almost 50, so.
Regardless, it looks like a drain commission, well paid, so. Money?
Yeah, I think as far as the drain commissioner issue, that really, when we had the very high water, in Lake Michigan a few years back, I mean, that's where it really started, because we were getting rain, and heavy rains, on a regular basis. And then we had water going across M22, over by Manitou Market. And then that's the kinds of things that got it started. It was only being paid, I think, $7,000. And then it just kept going up, and then they hired an engineer to try to, because Steve Christensen couldn't really make those decisions on how to engineer it, so it just, and then it was happening over by Timberley, it was water, washing everything out, over on Stony Point or Lee Point, there was water going across the roads there. So, I mean, it's grown, but I mean, if we started now, it'd be a lot less because water's way down.
Right.
So it just has grown from where from nothing really to, I mean, what do we have, 4 or 5 now that we're looking at? It was all complaint based.
Yeah, and you'll find counties that are flat and agricultural, pay their drain commissioners a ton of money because they have more than 100 drains. They're everywhere. They were used to drain land for agricultural purposes. That's what the drain code really was intended to address.
Mr. Wessel?
Yes, thanks for your analysis by the averages, but I think we all agree that we've got one that is a problem.
Yes.
And I think we ought to ask our administrator and HR director to come back with a recommendation on adjusting the prosecutor's salary. That would be my motion.
I'll support that. All right, so we have a motion, second discussion on that.
I'm gonna vote no, just because I don't think that, I think it's our shoulders. And we got all the information you need to make it. So why go through another layer and have them come back and then we either agree with them or don't agree with them? I mean, I'd entertain a different motion that would actually bring it up, but it just, to me, creates a different.
Could I respond to that, Chair? I did that because I thought probably it made sense that the administrator have some discussion with the prosecutor before decisions are made.
Mr. Barney?
Yeah, I think we went through this already when we had our setting up our budget, and so I don't understand why we would be going against our budget, what we've already gone through, and we've heard from the prosecutor when he was here. So I don't know that, I mean, are we gonna look at the other ones and try to reduce them, because the ones that are higher?
You can't.
I know that, but I'm just saying, you know, that's, I mean, if you wanna go one way, where should we go the other way? Or we're too high?
Mr. Robbins?
How about if we just move this to 26 and make it one of our goals, if we have goals? And work on this for 27.
27, but that makes sense. We reevaluate this when we do the budgets in 27.
Apparently we're reading my mind, because that's what I was gonna bring up, so.
Moving forward.
That'd be my
Let's talk about it
recommendation.
now.
Have it as part of our budget process for 26 and 27. That's my recommendation, but if you wanna.
I would only say that when we did the budget, we were told at that time, how we do the budget doesn't mean we can't make that adjustment before the end of the year.
I think we need to start before August. We need to, like in March, start.
What did I say at the end of my budget message?
Yeah.
2027 budget start
now.
Yesterday. Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to second.
Well, I don't see,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't see much support for a motion, and I would withdraw and just continue to talk about it. Thank you. If that's.
I support continuing to talk about it.
All right, any other discussion on that? Not, we'll move on to item number C, which is discussion only for conflict of interest policy brought by Mr. Campbell.
Excuse me.
I did bring.
Yeah, I did.
And that
We do
information
have-
is there.
We do have the research that you performed, and I think we included, we have Emmett County, Grand Traverse County. Right, I think those are the two that we have that are different than ours. So what I thought we were going to do is, now that we have this additional data, and we have it in our records, is that you wanted to set up a working group, either a couple commissioners and an administrator. I don't know. Thought that's the way we were heading. So,
I would love to serve on that. There's something that, well, anyways, I'm kind of the guy who brought it up, so. But there's something we can do at our next meeting, and we could make a change in our agendas and add conflict of interest. I know Leelanau Township does, I know Centerville Township does, Parks Commission does. I mean, it's pretty common throughout, and until we can back that up with a change in policy, which might be another month, whatever this board decides. We can put a placeholder there anyways, and so folks can look at the agenda and say, yeah, I have a conflict and discuss it.
But yeah, that's typically, when you have that kind of thing on your agenda, the purpose is, again, that the individual identifies a potential conflict, and then it takes a motion by the board to excuse that person from voting. Because too often conflict of interest policies are used as a means of getting out and making difficult votes. And, you know, that's not the idea. You're elected, you're expected to vote on everything that comes before the board, unless you're excused for a legitimate reason. That usually should be an excuse and an excuse from the board itself, not just your declaration that I don't want to vote on that item.
It might be more appropriate to do that. I think we have a regular organizational meeting, right?
Two more meetings away.
Yeah, but so, I mean, I'm fine with that, just adding to the agenda. The question, I think, though, is, you guys have all that material as your thoughts on it. Even if you appoint a committee, they need a direction, not that they're setting, but this entire board is setting. I've made my thoughts pretty clear that I'd like to see the two things that are important, I think, are to expand what a conflict is, to include different types of relationships that folks have, as opposed to strictly making it financial. And the other thing is, oh gosh, I wrote it down. What is it? To define when our grievance policy, to make sure that our two neighbors, the city of Traverse City and Grand Traverse County, they set up, if it's deemed by the HR director or sometimes the administrator that a grievance has been filed and it's credible, they set up a ethics panel. In the case of Grand Traverse County or the city of Traverse City, they actually have someone appointed to do the work outside of county government. To me, that makes sense too. So those are my the two things that are close to me as far as this.
I like the idea of discussing this at one section.
The one thing that I would say is it's always, to me, it always makes the most sense to discuss something where you're reacting to an actual proposed change. You may not accept the change, you may modify the change, but at least it focuses the discussion because you have language that you actually are going to consider. Too often when items are for discussion only, you discuss all kinds of things, and not the decision that you actually want to get to. So if you're going to have a discussion at an organizational meeting or any time, I would strongly suggest that you delegate someone to actually prepare something to react, a proposal to react.
I feel real comfortable and having Alan and maybe our chair and the administrator work on a proposed policy to bring back to us.
Are you okay with that?
So are you saying of a committee?
Maybe have it as a motion, set it up as a committee or something.
Yeah.
Do that.
Just an ad hoc committee, sure.
Minutes would have to be taken.
Right.
That is my motion.
No.
Hold on. Motion by Wessel to set up
An
a
ad hoc
policy,
committee.
a policy committee.
Ad hoc
Okay,
policy committee comprised of Commissioner Campbell, Chairman Yoder, Mr. Dyer. Support.
discussion.
Any discussion on that? Not, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0. All right. Next up, we have item number D, employee recognition. Sure, who brought that? Is that Commissioner Robbins?
Yes. Coming up. No. Sure. I've been thinking about our employees here, about their investment too. We hire them and we want them to stay 5 years to pass on the knowledge to the next group that's coming in. And sometimes I think we, I don't want to say we forget about the employees here. Maybe we put them on the shelf and, a few years ago, there was, about a year ago, I guess it was.
Could you speak up, please? Could you speak up?
Okay, a year and a half ago, there was the survey and we got the report back on how the employees feel. And so I've been thinking about it and I've been talking to our HR person, Jen, and I thought about just throwing it out there, maybe some recognition, appreciation to our employees. Maybe I'm just throwing it out there, at 5 years recognition, 10 years, and maybe we do it at the meetings there. The ones that work during the day come in and we can recognize them at the executive, and the ones at shift department to do shift works, if they want, they could come in on the night shift if they're working. But, what I was thinking is maybe we just an idea, maybe take the logo of Leelanau County and then put 5 year, 10 year. We give our certificate and a pin for 5 year increment service. Just throwing it out.
Question on that? Questions?
What is our HR?
Well, I know that the more you recognize people, the more they sometimes commit to their employer. So the more we can be grateful for our staff, the more they'll want to work for us. You see it again and again. Appreciation goes hand in hand with productivity and commitment to the employer. So it's a win-win. There are a million ways to do appreciation. I think one of the ways that we're already doing it is with that Christmas party. It's just a way to people get together and have a meal and, share thoughts. But yes, I send out a monthly email now that's everyone who has an anniversary that month gets a thank you. We appreciate your service, keep it up the good work. But for those milestone anniversaries, 5, 10, 15 years, that's a long time to work for one place, at least in our current environment. And that's wonderful. And any way that we can support our staff to continue employment here, I'm in support of.
Discussion on that?
It's a good idea.
That possible, I guess, question, that's possible, administrator and HR or HR get together, I guess, write up something as to how to do that or process, is that what you were looking for, kind of a process or something?
Whatever you do to make it work.
No?
Yeah, do you have a suggestion where you'd like to have it at the beginning of a meeting, at the end of a meeting? How you'd like to structure it if it were to be presented by the board to the staff?
Not necessarily. I'm assuming at the beginning of the meeting because we get carried away sometimes.
Okay.
Even if the employee didn't show up, even if we recognized them in administrative comment or something, Jane Doe, 10 years.
Okay. Yeah, we can come up with something. Be happy to.
Perfect. Go with that? All right, thank you. All right, next up, review of financials.
Any questions on any specific invoices that you saw in claims and accounts?
Any questions for our finance director?
Okay, thank you. Okay.
All right, special reports by staff, commissioners, and affiliates.
Could I just say something? Thank you. I was very interested in the award of the contract to Clark Schaefer and Hackett. I've worked with Raymond for a number of years, and I very much appreciate everything that they have done for me and for the county. And I do look forward to working with Clark Schaefer and Hackett. The EDS did reference that I sat with them. I don't want anybody to think that I was scouting out ahead of your process. It just so happened that I was at the MGFOA conference down in Muskegon, wearing my badge, identifying myself as Leelanau County, and our RFP was released that very same day. So I suddenly became a sunflower and every honeybee was swarming around me. So I talked to many firms because they said, oh, we saw your RFP. So I just wanted to let you know, yes, I found them to be very, very nice professional people. We did sit and have breakfast, but it wasn't like I started a relationship with anybody before you guys. So just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Grand Traverse County has approved the $70 million backing for the airport in going out for the bonds. So they predict that the bonds will probably go out in late February or early March.
On that note, I want to clear my name. I am not the Richard Robbins, so the airport needed to be moved to Felston, so.
Apparently you got a twin. Okay, Commissioner Bell?
I sat in on one of the two health meetings for employees. The one I sat in on was not very well attended, and there was one the previous day, which was not very well attended. I'm not sure why that is, because it was held during, during regular business. Anyways, I thought Lou did a good job. Probably it makes sense in the future to invite commissioners to those, as in we have. I don't take the county's health insurance, but we have that option. So we're actually invited to be part of the group. So it makes sense that we have those conversations. Thank you.
Any other reports? All right, not, we'll move on to final public comments. Anybody has 5 minutes to address the board. Mr. Mikowski.
Good afternoon. I appreciate some commissioners working hard to dig deep into some of the questions that have arisen today, particularly the one about the automobile use of part-time employees. Another comment was mentioned today that they pay for this and they pay for that, and talking about various departments, various entities. But unfortunately, we should say they, instead of say they, we should say the taxpayers pay for it. It would be more honest if we do, because the they is somebody up in kingdom come that we don't know, and it maybe comes from heaven. So we want to be properly informed that the they are actually the taxpayers. The jail, about 5 years after the new jail was built, I spent some time researching the internet, and I discovered, and I urge everyone to do this, that the construction of our jail was to penitentiary standards. And so the daily cost for each cell, we were certified as 82 cells. The daily cost is $100 per day at that time. And we allow other people to use them for $35 a day. Sure, it's an offset, but we still are losing 65,000. And generally, for the excess capacity we have here, we taxpayers are paying $1 million a year for that excess capacity since it was built, because the occupancy has never been above 20 or 30. And the slots we lease, or the cells we lease, are not always filled either. On the leasing thing, it's a classic Leelanau County Commission knee-jerk process. Every time it's a panic at the last minute, we have to do something. Nothing is organized. It's left out the drift. And we are blessed with having whatever the commissioners finally do under a panic basis. Also, it was mentioned today about the overpayment. It looks to us from Mr. Bonnick's report that some of our employees are overpaid.
I guess that's okay, because we assume that all the employees, the taxpayers that are employed in Leelanau County also are overpaid. So they are welcome to give their excess income to the county in the form of taxes, to be overtaxed. We are very happy with that, and we'll continue the overpayment as long as we want to do some foolish things, and county commissioners in the past have started. It's a randomness to our whole employee compensation process. It's a kind of a tragedy to see how this has gone on after attending these meetings for 36 years. Finally, we want to note that again, this meeting, as for many months, we've requested the need for the county commission to prepare a apology resolution to the clerk for harming her, and to the taxpayers for wasting $1 million on the clerk loaning motion of May 11th of 2021. We need that apology resolution to be done to put things to bed and this commission go on. Otherwise, you're passing on the legacy, and some of you are still here from those commissions, and you're saying, we think we did a hell of a job with that thing, when actually, to me, as an ordinary citizen, it was one of the sloppiest jobs we ever done. Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right. Thank you. Commissioner comments? Very good.
Everybody hungry?
Hell it is. All right, on to approval of financials.
Will we have amendments next week? I would make a motion for claims and accounts that we approve claims and accounts for $259,265.39.
Or discussion? Not all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0.
I make a motion to approve post audits for $3,017,686.56.
Support discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Carried 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that. We're adjourned. When did we advertise for next one? 1 o'clock or? Meeting to follow.
I think it's at 11 o'clock or immediately.
Oh, okay, all right, so let's take why don't we be back at 1 o'clock or something? It shouldn't take that long.
I'll need at least, cause I have to switch over my equipment. So
Okay.
can you give me can we go 1:15?
1:15?
Is that okay?
We can make that work.
Okay.
That is the same.
Can we move it forward to next meeting?
Thank you. Sorry, I can't do it that fast. Trying.
Someone showed, she did.
I don't think so.
My agonized all
Yeah, I think she just has some concerns because you don't have.
You just spoke too much more. Me? Me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I hope you have a nice Thanksgiving. Thank you.
I had mentioned that last year. No, it wasn't. Yeah. Just, you know.
Those were great.
Yeah, I don't want to get.
My copy.
Right. See that, so.
Don't take it a little